The final night of school as far as Monday Night Motorsport is concerned for Term 1 of 2023, and we couldn't think of two better venues to bring the curtain down on the waste option seasons of GT4 and GT3 respectively than the Interlagos circuit in Brazil, first up for GT4, and then on to the Daytona International Speedway, home of NASCAR and American sports car racing, for the finale of Waste Options GT3. It is a Monday Night Motorsport doubleheader that could cement itself in history books of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club if Matthew Dench manages to clinch the elusive GT4 GT3 double. Strap yourself in, ladies and gentlemen. A marathon 3 3/4 hours ahead, right here across Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Good evening, everybody. I'm Zach Cabot alongside Adam Lavis. Welcome to night 1 of week 10 of term 1 of 2023. And nice to be back in progressive civilization with the clocks having wound back in the daylight saving observant states yesterday. And on the back of some chaotic Formula One racing and supercars competition across the course of the weekend. More on that if we get time a little bit later on. It's back into the virtual world and back into a 45-minute affair for GT4 tonight and a 90-minute affair for GT3. So no shortage of action to get the week of grand finals underway. Matty Dench, the championship leader on 389 points, has an advantage of 65 over Richard King. Jordan Malcolm, 323. But we don't see Jordan Malcolm anywhere on the grid there, so he's backed up and gone home. And we do have a few others out there that are in championship or top 10 contention, I should say. Nick Woods there in 4th place, 299, 282 for Gary Cousins. Then Michael Hammond, Dale Sharp, Nick Fodiato, Stain Snadden, and Josh Robertson make up the top 10. The interesting thing here will be Richard King, because he really is the only one that can get in the way of Dench in the title. But something would have to go catastrophically wrong for Dench for it to end on a losing term here, unless he chucks everyone a dummy like he did last week and qualifies and takes the bonus point for pole position and then doesn't start the race. And that was somewhat surprising last week at Watkins Glen in what was a carnage-filled opening couple of laps. We're hoping for less carnage tonight. And everyone's got a little bit more time to ease into it because, obviously, as we know, it's 45 minutes long as opposed to last week's 25-minute sprint. So there will be compulsory pit stops tonight, splashes and dashes. There's the grid. Matty Dench on pole, surprise, surprise. Jared Knight alongside him. Michael Hammond and Braden Sagassa on the second row. Good to see Braden back on the grid. Richard King, Sam Muir from 3. Adam Proctor, Nick Wood from 4. Gary Cousins and Matt Stewart from 5. Row 6. We'll just leave those track and weather conditions there in for us as well, Adam Lavis. I'll run through them in just a moment. Nick Fodiato and Dane Snadden from 6. Dale Sharp and Stephen Lawrence from 7. Josh Zuno and Brendan Van Ryn from 8. Pete Madsen from 9 alongside Dale Jeffries, and then from 10 it's Jacob Hughes and Robert McGrath. 3 o'clock in the afternoon server time. 21 degrees. The ambient temperature 30 on track, partly cloudy conditions. 21 is Josh Maynard, then Ben Hutchinson, Greg Padgett, and Glenn Wilkinson. And of course there was another name in the server there, but he has broadcast obligations so can't race. That was, of course, Adam Lavis. Grand final, that's always a favourite one, Adam, particularly tonight with history very much on the line.
Oh, yeah, indeed. It'll be interesting to see who has the pace tonight. I thought, given we had a 45-minute practice, I got ahead and jumped in with the boys. Only half a second on the pace. I was on to get Gazza on the last lap, but at the end of the session, as we're going up the hill, I was like, bugger. But oh well. Oh, no. But yeah, Mikey's got some plenty of pace, so he's leading the Aussie Racers charge, and Gaz and Nick and all them are in the middle, and even Pete. Like, it's so close. Look at how close. It was like barely a 10th between anybody, all the way down to 20th, and so it was very interesting because like Pete's just on the backside of that, and it's just amazing how close all the gaps were in practice and in qualifying.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, look at those results there on screen, as you say, 0.2 the margin. Dench tonight. That wasn't a surprise, but then the next, what are we, nearly 11 cars within a second of one another. Dane just outside that second threshold, and 11 within a second of Dench, which is an achievement in its own right. Cars moving off behind the safety car here. Ready for a rolling start. So it's an extended edition of Monday Night Motorsport Grand Final week, always extended. As we said last week, it's an earlier start for New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania, ACT and South Australia. It's a later start for everybody else with that 1 hour or 112-year time lapse and delay, or lag as I like to call it, now gone for another 6 months. Should be a great race, this. These two tracks never, yeah, exactly, thank you. These two tracks never disappoint, particularly this first one into Lagos here in Brazil. And then, of course, on to Daytona for the final round of Waste Options GT3. Big week, of course. The lead up to Easter and all the attention this weekend on the Mount Panorama circuit in Bathurst for the 6 hour. More on that a little bit later on, because that's where I'm heading on Wednesday morning. But first and foremost, we must get down to business in the virtual world. Season 12 of the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, and it reaches its crescendo tonight with Matty Dench on the cusp of achieving something he's never done before in GSRC history, and that's win the GT4 title. Set for a start in Brazil. Let's go. Monday Night Motorsport, the first and final one of the first one of April, the final one of Term 1. Let's do it.
He left it real late, then he might get done here.
Right, he's got pressure mounting up on the outside from Braden Sagassa and also Jared Knight. Have a look at that. 3 wide to Turn 1. Dench is going to hold on for that.
Hammond
wants to follow him through. Sagassa ended up getting hung out to dry. Top 11 remain as they were. Through we go. You're right. Dench held them late, held them long. So the pack is somewhat balked up, checked up. And look at Hammond under the pressure from Muir as well, and King and Sagassa.
Dench almost got caught out because the green light went before he did, so he almost got done. Because once the green light goes, Night Racing says, oh, you're on.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's important to note that the onus is on the starter to a point. He has control of the field until that green flag flies. Once that flies, he's got no control anymore. So it's not always...
Well, the only thing is there is a sub rule where you're not allowed to pass for the control line, though. So there is still a little bit there, but it could have been a bit of a kerfuffle back in the pack with some of the other rows and stuff.
That could have triggered a couple of safety cars, I would have thought. Now, through we go. Dale Sharp in 14th. Doing a nice job. Dale Jeffries 15th. Jacob Hughes, Josh Maynard in behind them. Maynard up 4 spots in the opening lap. So Pete Matson struck trouble down 7. Josh Zuno down 8. Brendan Van Ring down 6 on the opening lap. We'll find out what that's all about very shortly. The pack just in a freight train at the moment. And look at Sagassa ranging up on the outside of Hammond to put himself in the perfect position for Turn 2, at least not Turn 1. They're rubbing panels as they cross the start-finish line at the end of 1 lap. Hammond will dive deep under the brakes as the Porsche can. Sagassa tucks in for now. Then has to defend the likes of Richard King and Sam Muir and Adam Proctor and Nick Wood. Through we go and down the back straight to Turn 4 for the second time. Look at the lead that Dench has opened up. 0.7 on Knight, and then 1.5 seconds back to this battle, which is well worth keeping an eye on. Orange and yellow boxes as far as the eye can see from 3rd back through about 18th. And that's, I guess, token Interlagos racing in the early stages. There is so much in the way of slipstream and very little in the way of opportunity to sneak away. Hammond trying to defend Sagassa. Sagassa dives down the inside, but Hammond firmly slams the door in his face. And Sagassa will get frustrated here because at the same time, while trying to find a way by Michael, and we know that when you are trying to track down and pass Michael Hammond, that Porsche will be the widest car in the Southern Hemisphere. But at the same time, he doesn't want to then get agitated.
Oh, he's gone.
There you go. Exactly the point I was making. He doesn't want to get agitated to the point where either he cocks it up or he loses positions on the racetrack.
And his teammates made the same mistake too. Samuel was good, real fast in practice, and he just bombed the last corner there and lost 3 spots.
Wow. That is extraordinary. Unlucky for Sagassa. Drops all the way down, if you don't mind. Josh Zuno also in pit lane. Down to 18th position as a result of that. 1:39.71 for Matty Dench, the fastest number of the night thus far. But yeah. Yep, feels bad man race. Exactly right. Well done, Zuno. Thanks for chiming in from pit lane. Unlucky for you. We'll find out what happened in just a moment when we get to some action replays. In the meantime, yeah, 4 minutes gone here. But those pressure cooker situations, you can so easily bring yourself undone because you get frustrated and you make a mistake, or because you're too busy trying to attack, you lose sight of defence and you lose positions and go backwards that way. So it was a double-edged sword and it was a lose-lose situation. There goes Nick Fabianus! Taking the grass route was never going to work for the Porker. I don't know what was going on there because it's not like Nick to cut the corner like that.
He went for an inside move and the door closed on him.
Yep. And so, yeah, it was a lose-lose situation for Braden Sagassa. Now he's playing catch-up for the rest of the night. He's down there with Nick Fodiatis. So Sagassa back up to 16th. Fodiatis now 21st. He's lost 10 spots. Let's have a look at some action replays. Josh Zuno. This was turn 4.
Teammates.
Oh, no. Hello, Pete. Pete's brake line got cut. Wouldn't work when he pressed the pedal. Matty Dench, 1:39.38, fastest number of the night. Oh, no. Josh Zuno coming out of turn 2, carrying a lot of speed, and then unable to... incident number 2 we've just seen, mate. Thank you. This is Sagassa. Yep. Just a little bit too trigger happy on the pedal there, and the back end slips out from under him. So you could see Brendan coming back on the track, but at the same time on the racing line. And Zuno, oh, jeez.
So Sam thought he was on here. He had a good run. He just outbroke himself.
Yep.
And ended up costing himself 2 spots rather than making 1. So.
Yep. So, well, he made 1 by Sagassa going off. It could have been a 2-spot gain. It ended up being a 3-spot loss. Yeah. 2 steps forward, 22 backwards, and then Fodiatis actually put a touch on there. He didn't lose it all on his own. There was a touch that unsettled him as well. Oh dear. So much drama already in the early stages here at the Interlagos circuit. We are 7 minutes gone. We are almost 7 minutes gone. We are 4 laps in. 1:39. So let's work on a minute 40 at the moment. A minute 43, 25 minutes every 3 laps. There are 45 minutes in the race. 9 times 3
potentially 2
27,
stops.
and taking into consideration 2 stops. So 26, 27 is going to be that threshold tonight, isn't it? So keep an eye on that, unless of course we get a safety car.
I tried to shave a percent of fuel up for the guys just to make sure we got the 2 stops in, but iRacing beat me to the server start. Just I got it all done, and just I pushed the save button and said, "No, you can't hit the server anymore." I'm like, oh, you.
Just to try and trip everybody up on the last night of school. Good on you.
No, not trying. Just to try and make sure we don't try and get everyone on an even playing field rather than having a few sneaky sneaks trying to make out that extra fuel saving.
Right, now,
it's on back here.
Wide goes Maynard. And Hughes was out in the dirt as well. So Dench 1:39.24. So if we're working on that 1 minute 40, 3:20 and 1:40 makes 5. 5 times 9 is 20. 3 times 9 is 27. So, and 5 times 9 is 45. So you're looking at about 60% laps to minutes essentially. 27 is 3/5 of 45.
So how many laps you reckon there is?
So I'm wagering 26-27 once you take into consideration the 2 pit stops, because it is a long transit run.
Yeah, we should be good then, because Nick was saying the tank's about 11 or 12 laps long. There you go.
So a splash and dash in the final 5 laps, I think.
Yeah, so unless someone can eke out that 13th lap, then...
if anyone's going to do it, it's M. Dench. If anyone's going to do it, it's M. Dench. Now,
here comes Hammond.
Oh no, Mikey has lost some ground there. Richard King up the outside to 3rd. Richard King makes it a Merc 1, 2, 3, I believe. Yep. There he goes. Very nicely done. So, yeah, just going back. Yeah, poor old Josh Zuno. The problem wasn't necessarily the rejoin from Brendan Van Ryn, because where else are you going to re-enter the track? But the inside there, or the outside of the corner, the inside line for the next corner, it is the racing line. So, unfortunately, here's what happened to Brendan in the first place. So, unfortunately, as Brendan's come unstuck there, and he's just got helped out wide, so he's trying to limp back on the black stuff. And as he's come back on, the door, literally given Zuno with nowhere to go. But I'm willing to wager the benefit of that with Brendan there, because as he was rejoining the racetrack, Zuno wouldn't have been in his mirror. He would not have seen Zuno in his peripheral. So that's unfortunate. Josh Zuno pays the price. He's one lap down, back out there 3 minutes 13 later. Richard King under all sorts of pressure from Michael Hammond here. But this is a circuit that's going to really suit the Mercs, isn't it? So Denchi's in the right car tonight. Hammond, look at this down the inside. But that's the point. The Mercs will love the straights. That tight infield section will be Porsche territory, and Hammond set out and proved it.
I was going to say, like, I noticed in the first hip-in, the Porsches had a great launch out there compared to me and the Aston. But I didn't really notice as much in the third one. But obviously, Mikey's saying that, they're just out of those hairpins, the Porsche get some power to him.
So, to complete the hat-trick this weekend, and we've got enough time in the broadcast tonight to rip through all three of these. Obviously, I'm already in a better mood than what I was last week. I'm celebrating the fact that I could actually have my dinner before the sim racing tonight, because we've rejoined the rest of the Eastern Seaboard in reading the same time. It's a lovely convenience at the moment. Wilson GP got in the way of this week and last week. We'll be back for next season. Jordan, good on you, mate. Thank you. Disappointing to see you miss out on the final two rounds of the season. Might end up also putting pay to third in the championship. We'll wait and see how that plays out at the end of the night. But in saying that, mate,
Antonio's here.
In saying that, we look forward to seeing you after Easter. It's important, our home country, actually, Antonio, country, more to the point. Although that being said, so, all right, there's a few things that I'm going to get off my chest tonight, because it's the last opportunity to do so before Turn 2 starts, and Turn 2 starts in a fortnight, ladies and gentlemen. Mark April 17, 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time in your diary, or 7:45, I'd say, actually, by the time we get there. 7:45 Australian Eastern Standard Time, Monday, April 17, restart of the new season. And there's a few gripes that I've got. Oh, Hutchinson in the wall.
He was aiming at a poor cameraman there.
He was. The cameraman was lucky he was behind the arm cap.
Hey, we got some brave guys there. He didn't flinch.
Yeah, exactly. It is a little early, Antonio. You're right, but I'm going to start early, and that way we'll ease into the evening. Michael Hammond still under pressure here from Richard King. The battle for third weight rages on. Matt Stewart, Adam Proctor, Nick Wood, Sam Muir in behind them, also having a good scrap.
It must be said,
Gary Cousins and Dane Snadden.
As I said, Denchi's out in front, but Jared's trying to keep with him. He's only 2.5 seconds behind, 2 seconds behind.
Well,
so he's doing what he can to stay with him.
With no disrespect to the rest of the field, Jared's about the only one that has a hope at the moment, and it's already been proven in 8 laps, 7.5. Oh, jeez, that was ugly. 3 wide through turn 5, if you don't mind. Have a look at this. Someone's got to give up here. Someone's got to give, or this will get very, very ugly. No, very nicely done. Well played, Matt Stewart and also Sam Muir. Nick Wood up around the outside, if you don't mind. Look at this. Wood going around the outside. He could only convert one of those 2 attempts to overtake. So number one, with regards to gripes of the last weekend, supercars insisting on pit stops in sprint races. Jesus Christ. Secondly, what the hell are we doing with 3 red flags when, in my opinion, the third one should have ended the race rather than having a parade lap to finish it off. And 3, the amount of people that still can't refer to it by its appropriate, an actual event title, Australian Grand Prix. The amount of people, including Mark Scaife, I might add, that referred to it as either the Melbourne Grand Prix or the Albert Park Grand Prix. I mean, fair, you can give yourselves an uppercut. read the title. It's on your tickets. It's on your program. It's the Australian Grand Prix. Let's refer to it properly if we're going to actually promote it. Anyway, but that being said, that's just a typical Victorian, Melbourne, wanky sort of thing to do. They tend to, think, no trouble. There we go. Another case of a rear end coming out from under a car. And that time round, Matt Stewart bites the dust. It's a typical Melbourne thing to do, that they like to claim ownership of it if it's in their state. Even if it is an Australian event, an international event with an Australian title, they like to refer to it as their own. But that's okay. We'll keep... Exactly. Nearly 500,000 people, 444,000 I think it was over 4 days. Just extraordinary. The interest in Formula One very much alive and well. But someone within, as far as I'm concerned, someone within the FIA deserves the sack after that rubbish yesterday afternoon. So, we keep rolling on. 30 minutes to go. We're at 1/3 race distance. Dane Snadden there. And Stefan Lawrence. Look at this. Stefan Lawrence under pressure. Oh, there goes Stefan Lawrence. The pressure was too much. Braden Sagassa on the comeback trail. Up 6 spots. Down 6 spots on where he started, but up 6 on where he ended up after that first incident. He's back into 10th. Back inside the top 10, and we haven't even got to the first round of pit stops yet. Speaking of which, there goes Gary Cousins right on cue. And against the leader at the start of lap 10. And that's right on the trajectory of what I was saying about 26, 27 laps tonight as well. So the numbers are running.
That was a pretty decent save by Josh there. Stay with us, folks. I think Zach's having a moment. So we got Pete Matson here in the yellow car and Brendan Reid in the pink car, getting ready for tomorrow night's big battle with those two and Greg Padgett. Only 20 points separating in the up-and-comers final for tomorrow night, so that should be a good battle if he's willing to tune in tomorrow night to watch our learning drivers have another crack at their own championship. They've got 3 races at 3 different cars, so that should be a very interesting night. Gary's here, he's going to stop, he's just looking to get by. Stops on the way. We've got Mikey in the pits, we've got Dale in the pits, or both Dales, Sharp and Jeffries. So pit phase has begun on lap 11. So it's interesting to see if how many guys can make 12 or 13 laps. These guys going around for their 12th, except for Gary, who's already did it. Nick Frialis coming back through the field after his spin, trying to have a battle here with Josh Maynard, around the outside, Porsche v Porsche. And Maynard wins the battle for now, will he win the war? So Denchi's in, so he couldn't make the 13 laps. Jaron's in, so it looks like 12 might be limited here for some of these guys, unless someone's been fuel saving. We'll find out this time by. Top 3 are all in, so this could be the critical lap. sneaky bit of pit lane. We almost past the pit lane there for Nick. Oh, in iRacing, the fast lane's got contact, but the slow lane doesn't, so that Nick got pushed across there in the lane. See how we go, everyone. Very congested pit lane at the moment. Everybody running till their drinks are dry. Here comes Maynard. I think Nick's got him. No, Josh has got him. Josh just pips him. Now, it's close. And race resumes. So Braden's done well here from after his spin. He's back up to 10th now. So recovery well on the way. Again, I think there may have been a power outage up in the Ipswich area, so hopefully Zach can get back with us soon. Meanwhile, we'll try and press on. This gaggle of cars have come out the pits all together. Here we go. We've got Glenn Wilkinson up in front there. Then we've got Josh and Nick and Lawrence, Stewart, Jeffries. Lawrence, whoa, that's going to be a tight move there. A little bump. He's forced the issue. He's off the track. That's not good. Gas it down the inside. Nice move down the inside there. Some of the drivers are just spread out a bit. We've got a couple of little battles. Just got this battle here, and we've got the Nick battle back here. So there's a couple of little battles here. Let's see if the guys punch back up again after those pit stop phase. And then try and get some action for you on the screen. Coming up on a half race distance. 22.5 minutes down, 22.5 minutes to go. Denchi out in front by 4 seconds over Jared Knight. And Mike Hammond's only 3.5 seconds behind Jared now. So, actually, no, Denchi's pulled the gap out to 10 seconds, so he's managed to really make some hay in the sun in that pit stop phase. And Jared Knight has fallen back a little bit, and Mikey is trying to bring the field up to him. I believe, Zach, you're back. Is that good?
Yeah, apologies. Before we were so rudely interrupted, I've had to go to the mobile hotspot. I have no idea what's going on, but let's be perfectly honest. In this day and age, for the networks for the internet networks to drop out for no, logical reason or explainable reason, it's just not good enough. I've said it on so many occasions, mate. Fifth world technology, with regards to internet standards in this part of the world. It's an absolute disgrace. But anyway, and of all the nights for it to happen, on grand final night as well, we haven't had a problem all season, which is remarkable. Matty Dench, Jared Knight, Michael Hammond, Richard King and Adam Proctor, the top five. So, Hammond's found his way back into the top three, which is exactly where he started. Richard King's lost out in that pit sequence to Hammond, and the deficit is now 1.8 seconds. So, Hammond with a slender advantage at the moment. Whether he can maintain that or not remains to be seen. We're on lap 14 and we're past half race distance. Glenn Wilkinson's a good story, isn't he? Up 11 spots. There's Maynard up 6 as well. We've lost Josh Zuno. We've lost Benny Hutchinson. Everybody else still out there. Pete Matson not too far off going, I'd say, a lap down to Matty Dent. Dench just doing Dench things again. So 11 laps was that opening stop for Matty Dench. I don't think anyone's now going to be able to pull this off on a one-stopper. Everyone's committed to a two-stop splash and dash. And those second round of pit stops will be nice, short, sharp and sweet, you would imagine. So Dench, Knight, Hammond, King and Proctor, the top five. What was really funny too, Adam, provided you've still got me, is that when the Discord dropped out and everything else dropped out, the one thing that kept working was the live timing.
Oh, there you go.
You wouldn't, fair dinkum believe it. The live timing, I could still see that ticking away. I thought, okay, it's only a temporary problem. I restarted the computer, rebooted it, and then you didn't get live timing either. And I was like, okay, we're going to the hotspot. Good thing I've got 100 and something gig a month with the plan.
It's the one thing that normally goes on. So while you were away, there was a bit of a controversial, bit of a moment that got a bit of a blob on the radio. So we'll see what you think.
Yep. All right. I'm looking forward to seeing the replay. Thank you. In the meantime, here comes Jason Hughes in 11. So this is Stefan. Oh no! Oh no! Uh-oh. Oh no! Little bit of just SMSing going on there. Nick Vodiatis has said, "Excuse me, sir. Is that the way it was viewed on the radio or not?"
It was definitely Stefan. It was definitely Stefan's view. There was no Nick. Nick never said anything. Just Stefan Lawrence wasn't happy. This was the view we saw in live.
Yeah. Although that being said, to be fair to Nick, Stefan was trying to shove the car down the inside.
It was a forceful move to start
with very little room at his disposal, I might add. It was almost as though he was trying to make room for himself. When you look at it from the other angle, that's what happened to Pete. It's just gone from bad to worse for Pistol. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because everyone's going to have their own idea on that. And at the end of the day, yes, it does bad for Nick that he's just, elbowed poor old Stefan there. But at the same time, he was the car in front. He's entitled to the racing line. And if you can make it look... I know a couple of karters that were, back in the day, very, very discreet in their mischief. In the terms of they'd complete an overtaking manoeuvre and then just gradually take a wider line out through the corner to make it so that you had to end up in the weeds and in the sticky stuff.
That's not a couple of karters, that's the karting community.
Yeah, that's a fair point, actually. We've all done a fair amount of karting in our time. On the subject of that, though, one positive thing I will say, in a night where I've been venting a few negatives already, and there's one that I haven't got to yet, and it comes from this afternoon on the drive home from work. One positive remark: the Ipswich Kart Club is going gangbusters at the moment up here in southeast Queensland. They had 330 karters there the other day for round 3 of their club championship. Oh, that's close.
It's one of those things, that second last kick on that front straight. It's flat out all the time unless you just miss the turn point. Then all of a sudden it becomes a corner real quick fast. Yep.
Maynard and Lawrence exchanging barbs there. And Lawrence now exactly what he was trying with Vodiatis on Maynard, squeezing it down the inside. Maynard's having nothing. Oh, here we go. Another one. Stefan Lawrence caught up and he's stuck it into the night. Oh, Josh won't be happy about that. Yeah. Hello, Grant. Good evening to you. G&O to go, I think, is what you're referring to. If you're playing along with your Zach Bingo card, bloody thing's going to be full tonight. Don't worry about that. Last one of the season. Got to get it off my chest.
So how many margaritas is Grant onto on his holiday at the moment?
Well, yeah, exactly right. And I seriously hope he's enjoying himself as well. We're not envious at all. Now, with regards to all of this, the other thing I'm going to say on the record firmly tonight. The only place in the world where roads should be one way are racetrack. Every lunatic going in the same direction, right? That's fine. Unfortunately, we've got one-way streets here in the city of Ipswich, and they've got them in Maitland as well, which is about half an hour from Cessnock for those that don't know, and I'm going to Cessnock tomorrow. One-way streets are fine until you get one idiot going the wrong way. And it's happened twice in Ipswich in the last fortnight.
I think the amount of people that come the wrong way into my work, into my server at work, is ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Good move there on the inside. Glenn Wilkinson is relieved to 14th position by Matt Stewart charging back through the field.
I'm not going to say as a pattern, but it's very common that the number plates do say QLD on it, so it's weird.
I wouldn't doubt that for a second. Wouldn't doubt it for a second. Not that I'm in the mood tonight to be sending uppercuts in the general direction of Queensland, Adam Lavis, because April to October is a beautiful, or April to the end of September is a beautiful time in this part of the world. But yes, I'll agree with you. Richard King in 4th place at the moment.
So that doesn't show that it doesn't look it on the timing screen. But this battle isn't too far apart. You've got 4 cars here. They're only like 1 or 2 little misjudgments of apexes away from closing this gap right up and it being a ding-dong battle. And they're not letting Mikey get too far away.
King kicked up a little bit of grass there on the exit as well, so he's washed off a little bit of speed. He's going to be under some pressure shortly from Madam Proctor if he's not careful. Past 2/3 race distance now. Matty on to lap 19. So there's still a possibility that we get to 27 even with that second pit stop.
And we'll be definitely...
Just remember, we've got that capacity to get into overtime. So the calculator 27 laps is based on 45 minutes. But if they get back there at 44 and 45, they start 27, lap 27, they get back to the line in overtime, but they get that lap in because they get back to the line before the clock expires. It is clock expires, checkered flag flies, first time past the post after the clock expires. So I'm now confident with 27 being the number we hit tonight.
And also the pit lane will be open, the pit window will be open now, so these guys can get their final stop in any time from now until they run out of gas. And Dale Sharp is in the lane as we speak.
There you go. Right on cue. But yeah, I'll be interested to get some other thoughts from the likes of Nick Fadiatis as well on what I've been saying about the debacle that was Formula 1 and Supercar over the weekend. Don't get me wrong, races 1 and 4 of the Supercars program were fantastic. Races 2 and 3 were shambolic. And Formula 1, well, yeah, I can't believe that we finished with a parade block. But anyway, kept everybody on their toes in Melbourne, so that's, I guess, the main thing. Max Verstappen doing Max Verstappen things. IndyCar was good this morning as well. I haven't seen much of that GP yet. Matty Dench to pit lane to complete the second pit stop. A little bit early compared to his first pit stop.
There was almost 2 miracles over the weekend that just went slightly the wrong side of like the 50-50 way it could have gone. So we almost had a podium for Hulkenberg finally after 200 million races. But they went the other way with the order decision, which did make sense. And then on the second V8 Supercar race, we almost had Macaulay Jones win a race. I mean, what the hell?
Well, that's exactly right. And with respect to Macaulay, that highlights the stupidity of what we saw in that Friday race. And I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit later on. I know there are some people, even within club circles, that don't agree with my views on that, but fair dinkum. That being said, for the rules that were in place, well done to young Brody Kostecki, who played by them and won accordingly.
Yeah, Brody's done well. He had a great weekend.
But, I mean, that was comical at best. And you know it's bad when even Crompton, the voice of the sport, the encyclopedia of the sport, is confused. So
I don't know.
I somewhat felt sorry for him.
There's a lot of times I'm watching and I catch things before they do. I'm like, I'm not too surprised.
Fair. Well, all I was going to say, if anyone's going to, it's you. You're a fairly switched-on operator. Through we go once more. Lap 20 of what we were anticipating will be 27 here at the Interlagos circuit in Brazil. Don't forget GT3 still to come, folks. Apologies for that brief intermission there, where I went AWOL, but fifth-rate world technology like we are with our internet network sometimes happens to the best of us. So I'm just working off the good old Telstra hotspot for the rest of the night.
Proctor's in.
Not that Telstra has anything to crow about in recent times either.
So Proctor's going for the undercut because he's just gotten up to Richard King and figured instead of losing time behind him, we'll try and pit now and maybe get him an undercut. So stay tuned to see how that pans out for a Proctor.
Hello, Grant. Well played. Yeah, exactly right, Jordan. Thank you. Good on you, mate. Nice to have you on board. I was going to say, at any point tonight, if you want to come in and have a yak with us in the comm box, feel free. I mean, it's a long enough night. We're always happy to shoot the breeze with guests. Gary Cousins, Adam Proctor, Stephen Lawrence have completed their second round of stops. Second stop also for Matt Dench, done and dusted. He comes back out. Yes.
So my Proctor situation, I think it's done. Proctor's over 40 seconds. He's got a speeding penalty.
Yep. Done and dusted. Adam Proctor's night done. And he's made a rod for his own back because with only 7 laps to go, you're not catching up from there. You're not redeeming yourself after that. And Jared Knight doing
see if we can pick it here.
A nice job out in front.
Oh, he's way deep.
For how much
he is way deep.
Yeah, but he was never pulling that up. Never pulling that up. No, they were the best set of brakes in the world. Was he pulling that up?
Not even Mikey's Porsche brakes.
Right. Yep. Nick's got into ninth place, but for how much longer we don't know because obviously the field isn't cleansed yet. Richard King there in second spot. The other thing as well, with regards to the weekend just gone, yeah. I know when we reinvented the wheel with supercars with the car of the future, it mixed up the results board a little bit, but at least the racing was, of a considerable length, and it wasn't hampered by delays in. Remembering that supercars was a support category over the weekend, they were 4th rank at best. So that was the other reason for the stupidity of the weekend.
I think Wood was a nice move to effectively 3rd place, or effectively 4th place.
Yeah, exactly. Into pit lane come Dale Jeffries and Robert McGrath as well. Now, I know we've been sitting here talking about the weekend that just was, and let's face it, it's been the one thing that's on everybody's mind. But let's turn our attention to a couple of weeks' time, Adam. How hard have the club members, the committee members, been working away behind the scenes to dot the I's and cross the T's and put plans in place for Term 2?
We had a meeting last week, but due to things that we had a lot of other things to talk about and had left it to last. A few of the guys had turned away, but probably 4 or 5 or half a dozen of us played with the calendar. And we've given a draft to the rest of the guys. We'll just try. I think just making some final touches tonight, possibly, and we'll get to hopefully have Dave do some slides. And if everything goes to plan, we should have a couple of slides and announcements for Wednesday night.
Lovely. I'll be tuning in at some point then, potentially from Bathurst, to check that out. Jared Knight, Richard King, Braden Sagassa, or Dane Snadden, and if I can't, of course, I know I'll get an email from you alerting me to what's going on. That'll be good stuff. Lap 23. Nick Wood, the leader at the moment. Richard King coming back out onto the circuit in 7th. There are, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4 cars ahead of him that are yet to stop. So he's 4th at best here. Hammond is good to go to the flag. So too Knight and Dench. So to everybody else except Brendan Van Ring, Pete Matson, Sam Muir, Nick Wood, Nick Fodiatis, who's on screen, and Matt Stewart. Matson into pit lane right now.
So Sam Muir here, who's in that battle for 4th place effectively. And he's got Denchi right behind him. He's already completed his stops. That's how much Denchi's pulled away from these guys.
Interesting as well, too. Interesting as well. But obviously, yeah, you've got Dench right up the clacker of Sam Muir. Muir and Wood just there about to come into pit lane. But interesting to note that they got an extra lap out of this stint compared to the last one. An extra lap out of this stint compared to the last one. Denchi flirting with track limits there, I would have thought as well. Wood and Muir are into pit lane. The field at the top end of town cleansed now. The top 5 will be as they stand. Here comes Fodiatis and Stewart to pit road as well. And so 12 was the threshold. 4 laps to go. Dench on his way home. And we say 4 laps to go comfortably now, folks, because we've seen that Dench has got back to the line to start lap 24 with just under 6 minutes on the clock. So we will get to 27.
He's been saving enough few out of these two to jump first. Nick. Yeah, that's actually very even. That was very even there for those two.
Yeah. That's very nicely done from Nick Fodiatis. Back out in 10th place. So, I mean, Nick prides himself on his consistency, but having missed last week and having had a couple of other results not go his way, and also, not last week, it was another week. Somewhere earlier in the season, he missed a round, and he's missed, therefore, 3 rounds with Sebring and something else as well. So,
he missed,
Sebring.
He missed Belle Isle by like 5 seconds because he fell.
That's right.
Because he fell asleep on the couch. And he just jumped into our Discord as we were gridding up.
That's right. It was round 8. That's right. Belle Isle.
So of the pit stop phase here, Nick Wood has made massive ground on Mikey Hammond here. The fight is on for 3rd place.
Watkins Glen was a case of what might have been, and there were a couple of others that didn't fall his way, and of course he was already giving everybody a head start by opting out of Sebring as we would. So, I mean, he'll be happy with the top 10 finish to finish it off, but it hasn't been the campaign he would have hoped for.
Fastest that man
finished somewhere inside that top 10 in the overall championship, though. So, onwards and upwards for next season for a former GT4 champion in Nick Fodiatis. Dane Snowden off the road from 8th. Back on. Loses 8th to Gary Cousins.
He might have got the fence there.
Yeah, possibly.
He's just got the throttle too early.
Yep. Grass.
Yeah, he's all right. Yeah, he's done well.
Arm code. Oh, he's done very well. He's done exceptionally well. 1:39.13. Speaking of exceptional, Matty Dench. Fastest number of the night again. Can he get a 38 out of it before we get to the end of lap 20? He's 24 and a half gone, 2.5 to go.
To be fair on the other guys, though, the other guys have done pretty well. Like Nick Wood's done a 39.3. Jared and Mikey have done 39.4s. There's a bunch of guys that have done 39.5. So, like 1 lap pace-wise, they're not too far off Denchi. It's just stringing them all together. Where Denchi's just putting them out like a monogram, or what's it called? The thing that goes tick tick.
Tick tick. Oh, sorry, no. Tick tock's a clock. Tick tick.
Starts with them. Metronome.
Yeah.
Just punching those laps out back to back. Whereas some of the other guys have maybe having a little bit more of a variance in their lap space, and that's where Denchi's getting his pace from. Also, he's probably got that extra fuel reservoir built in the roll cage that he somehow finds that everyone else hasn't got.
See, Grant was onto it. He knew what he was saying. He always does. If ever you need a wordsmith within the Gentleman's Sim Racing Club, you go to Grant Gill every day of the week.
I'm pretty sure it's one of Grant's things that he says. So that's probably why he had it right there ready to go.
On the subject of Grant Gill, I think James Hinchcliffe might have been listening to a bit of Grant Gill's work, because I heard discombobulated in the IndyCar call from him this morning. And that's one of Grant's words. Oh, look at that. Nice move down on the inside. Matt Stewart in the top 10 at the expense of Nick Fodiatis. We're on the second last lap, the penultimate lap. Thank you, Grant. Nico's word, my apologies. Hello to Paul Nichols if he is tuning in. On to the back straight we go. Penultimate time. Fodiatis trying to get back into the top 10 now. Dane Snadden just up the road. Good battle for third developing here as well. Hammond's got Wood, Muir and King for company. Oh, hang on. Richard King's lost fourth and fifth here. Nick Wood and Sam Muir have got through on Richard King.
Yeah, King lost it in the pit stop phase.
Sorry, Adam. Mikey's under all sorts of pressure here coming into the final lap. White flag out. White flag in the air. Matty Dench on his way home. There we go. We're on the run to the checkered flag. And an historic night at the office here on the platform for the GSRC. Can Wood find a way by Hammond? Not the case, not the night Richard King would have been hoping for. He was the only one that stood in the way of potential championship glory for Matty Dench. But second is the mean feet in the field. Hammond nearly thrown away. But he's going to give Nick Wood a tremendous opportunity here at the end of the back straight. But now Hammond goes into ultra defense mode. To the end of the back straight we go. Wood outside. Hammond at the inside. Wood. Oh, hang on. What's going on here, please? He almost dropped out. He almost had a netcode moment, a Zach Caban internet dropout moment. He's popping in and out all over the place. That's 3 times he's popped. Yeah, there's another one. Uh-oh. There could be more drama in this thing yet. Packet locked. Incoming for Nick Wood unless he can get it to the line in the next 45 seconds. Matty Dench on his way home. Jared Knight second and comfortably. Hammond, Wood and Muir, it's going to come down with a drag race to the checkered flag, and King's going to be an unlucky 6th. Round they come. Final time. Matty Dench, for the first time in GSRC history, is a GT Series champion. But thanks to waste options, Dench ticks one of the boxes that he needs to tick tonight. One of the 2. Part 1 of the double secured. Dench Knight. Hammond's going to hold off Wood and Muir. Here they come. Linus still on the checkered flag. Hammond, Wood and Muir 3rd, 4th and 5th. King 6th. Then Sagasa. Cousins, Snadden, Stewart the top 10. A Dench is halfway there. He's got championship number 1 of the season in his bag. A job done. He did it by winning 7 races from 7 starts. That is unheard of in this game. It's dominance the likes of which GT4 has not seen for a while. T. Lavis, the last one to dominate in that sort of fashion. But to Trent's credit, he turned up and didn't win every single week. He just maintained that top consistency. Dench, 7 starts, 7 wins. Just extraordinary. He's a freak.
So this is not what Pete wants for tomorrow night. So tomorrow night, Greg and Pete going into the up-and-comers final, even on points. And Brendan Van Rin's only 20 points behind. Oh, hang on. Pete's got to run here. It's going to be on.
Oh, the outside.
He's gone wide, though. He should have stayed in slipstream. He should have stayed in slipstream.
He's lost the legs. And Denchi finished with the fastest lap of the race as well, 1:39.03. That's important to note. Well done, Matty Dench. What a night out that was, eh? Dench, Knight, Hammond, Wood, Muir, King, Sagasa, Cousins, Snadden, Stewart, Fodiatis and Hughes. Sharp, Wilkinson, Maynard. He got back there 15th in the end. Jeffries, Lawrence, McGrath, Proctor, Van Ryn and Paget the top 21. Matson in for 22nd. Wow. Hutchinson, Zuno, retirements. But Dench got the job done and comfortably. 10.2 seconds in the end. Another 11 back to Hammond, but only quarter of a second, or about a third of a second, separating Hammond and Muir. 3rd, 4th and 5th. Then King, Sagasa, Cousins, Snadden and Stewart. Fodiatis misses the top 10 by 0.4 of a second. We'll hopefully have Nick in central commentary with us for the GT3 race. Here are some highlights coming your way, ladies and gentlemen. On your screen now. Dench's title, 7 starts, 7 wins. He dropped the first 2 rounds, then decided to give it a crack. Then, he just decided that he needed to focus more on Spa for the GT3 last week, and that worked in his favour in the end. So he gave everybody a bit of a leg up in GT4 by letting them fight for the win for a change, and then came back this week and goes 7 from 7. Richard King, welcome to you. I think if the numbers serve me right, it'll be second in the championship for you, mate. No one was going to beat Denchi, and of course Jordan Malcolm's absence with regards to working at the Grand Prix, that brought him undone, and it opened the door for you to claim second, but it wasn't easy out there tonight. Richard, the lights are on, but no one's home. I can't hear you at the moment, mate. We'll let him sort that out, and we'll come back to him in just a moment. We'll have Nick Fodiatis in the house shortly as well. We'll have the final points for you very shortly. Don't forget to stick around because at quarter to 9, our final GT3 race of the season gets underway for you here on the platforms of the GSRC. Quickly plugging the people that deserve to be thanked each and every single week we're on air. The people that support this great club throughout term 1 of 2023. They have been Waste Options, Blackout Electrical Solutions, Login Systems, West Orange Motors, Astute Finance, Fisher & Door Lawyers, and also Flash Graphics. Big thanks to all of them for their ongoing support of the GSRC. And on the subject of West Orange Motors, looking forward to seeing you trackside over the course of the weekend, Dave May. I'll shoot a message on socials, make sure that we do catch up.
Yeah, am I working there?
There we go, Richard. We've got you now, mate. Better late than never. Hey, difficult night out there. It looked like a real challenge for you. In the early stages, you were there or thereabouts. No one catching Knight and Hammond. Dench. That became very clear early in the piece. You had a good fight with Mikey. He always holds his own. We know that. Sagasa, the pressure was too much for him trying to fight with him and then fend off you blokes. That opened the door for you to take fourth at that point. But then, unfortunately, in that second pit, you lost a bit of time there, and that cost you in the greater scheme of things with regards to Wood and Muir. So 6th in the end and 2nd in the championship, mate.
Yeah, I just could not get a setup to work on that track. I just ended up with so much front end push. So I was quick to start off with, but the front tyres gave out, and yeah, I was just understeering through those tight pits.
Indeed, mate, and that was the point as well. It looked as though the Merc was well suited to sectors 1 and 3, but sector 2 was Porsche heaven. Yeah,
absolutely. 1 and 3, I was pretty quick, and yeah, the straight line speed of the of the Merc along the straights, I was keeping up with Mikey, but yeah, as soon as we got to sector 2, it just gapped me by about eighth of a second.
Indeed, and on that note, we've got Nick Fodiatis, the other Porsche, one of the other Porsche brigade, joining us now for a chat, so we'll get to him in just a moment. But Richard, as far as the season's concerned, mate, you've ticked the box, you've got a podium finish. Consistency was the key in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It is a little bit hollow. I would have liked Jordan to make those last 2 rounds. I had an absolute shocker at where we Watkins Glen and took out half the field there last week. So I would have preferred Jordan to make it. I think he deserves second. But I guess you've got to take what comes your way.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. Hey, well done on that. I mean, obviously, as we say, having this virtual platform was so good throughout COVID, but now it's starting to become a nuisance because, as you say, and it'd be ideal in a perfect world that we've had Jordan in the house for the last 2 rounds, but ever so more gradually and slightly, we're seeing real-world commitments creep in the way.
Yeah, real life is definitely grabbing there, and I would have gone to the Grand Prix if I had the opportunity. Also, congratulations there to Nick Wood too. He did a solid season. I don't know if he made 3rd or not, but he must be pretty close.
Well, I was going to say, in the absence of Jordan Malcolm, I'm going to be very interested to see what the points do look like in a few moments' time. Now that this season's behind you, mates, I mean, the same sort of rules apply to GT4 as GT3. There's been BOP updates. There'll be 2 weeks now to take stock, regroup, and I guess explore options for next season with regards to what car you choose to sit behind the wheel of for the next 10 weeks. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll have to have a look at it. Look, I only own the Merc. I've got everything in the GT3. I've enjoyed my break from that. So we'll see how we go. I'll have a look at what's happening and see if I can do both. I'm just really enjoying this GT4 league. It's really good.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. Anything else on the agenda GSRC-wise this week, please?
I'll probably do the 86s a go. I was enjoying it until I kept spinning them. So I'll go there and have a go in the last round.
Indeed, you will. We wish you the very best of luck with that one, mates. And overall, as you say, a very good season put together. You've earned, well and truly earned second. It's unfortunate, though, that someone like Matty Dench comes in and is just a cut above to the point where he starts 7, he wins 7, and gives no one else a hope in hell.
Yeah, I'm hoping he might decide to give next season a miss and maybe let somebody else have a run.
Well, this is true. We will wait and see. We'll ask the man himself after GT3. He's already gone to get ready for that finale in just a few moments' time from Daytona. So that'll be one of the talking points as soon as the race is done. Thank you very much for that, Richard. All the best, mate. Have a great Easter, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, cheers, Zach, and thanks to the GSRC for putting it on and doing the broadcast and all that, and you for commentating. Awesome. Thank
you, mate. Greatly appreciated. There was a bit of commentary and a bit of political commentary and personal opinion thrown into tonight's race, as well as a barb or two thrown in about our inadequate internet technology in this part of the world after mine dropped out partway through. But I'm sure you'll all enjoy it on the replay. Good on you, mate. Thank you.
Cheers. Have a good one.
Nick Fodiatis, get in here and save me, please. What a start to the night. Unfortunately for you, it was 11th. I mean, it'll be enough for a top 10 of the championship. But again, it was a case of a couple of things just didn't go your way throughout the course of this season. And also, yes, hello, Grant. Well done. You've got the first bingo call of the night. Nick, with regards to your night, though, I'm of the belief that you and Stefan Lawrence might not be exchanging Christmas cards this year.
Good evening, Zach. Look, first of all, congratulations to Matthew Dench and all those guys at the top there, and Richard for wrapping that up as well. Well, look, when you come with the grace of a sledgehammer, all he had to do was wait. He was going to get past me eventually. But yeah, look, what goes around comes around. I saw he had spun, and then yeah, I got past him, and then next thing you know, I saw in my mirror he was off the track. So I don't know what happened there, but anyway, I feel violated after tonight because I have so many cars smacking into me. I thought it would have been a bit nicer, but so be it. The racing overall was really good. I had a good ding dong towards the end there with Matt G. Stewart. He just was that little bit faster than me, and I was just like, see how many laps to go. And he got past me, so I let him go, and I didn't realize it was the last lap. So I was like, oh man, because I thought we could have catch the guys in front, but I could have caught the guys in front. But so be it. Overall, I mean, I got within earshot of my teammate Gary Cousins, who started the row in front of me. So I was, from a spin to that, I was very happy. I hit my marks on the pit stops every time on the way in. Pit exit was a little bit dodgy on the second one, but other than that, it was really good.
Indeed, mates. I mean, as you say, you felt a little bit violated there, but that's the nature of racing in Brazil. Sometimes it is a little bit close for comfort. There are often some friendly nudges along the way, and that's testament to how competitive the field is 1 through 23 on a venue like this that opens itself to close racing.
Yeah, it's very hard to pass. I thought the Porsches will be a bit of a free meal at the end of the straight, but it actually wasn't to be so much. It was I was carrying a lot of speed into the corners, and then when I did back it up, I did get run into. So, like trying to get a good run out of the corner. So it was much of a muchness. But, you know, overall it was quite enjoyable just to have a fight back from, I think I got as low as 18th, 19th spot. So all in all, that all happened at the start. So the back end was actually quite good. These purple Mercs, far out there everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah. Exactly.
I got past one of the teammates, and then I had Matt on me, and then I think there was another teammate somewhere else. It was like, far out.
Well, I was going to say, I think you had Matt. I think you had Matt on you twice there at one point, because he too got caught up in some garbage at one point and had to fight his way back through. And Braden, of course, was in there. Sam was lucky not to bring himself undone as well at one point. Hey, actually, on the subject of Braden, good charge back, actually, good hustle. He was fighting in the top 5 there at one point until that spin. Then still managed to get himself back to 7th in the end. Of course, when your mistake happens early enough in a 45-minute race, you can work your way back. It's not all over and done. If you make it in the last 5 minutes, forget about it. So, yeah, there's the comment, actually. Very happy to hold off Nico for a few laps. Awesome racing you, as always, from Josh Maynard. So there you go. Very nice.
I mean,
and Maynard himself actually was having an okay run until late in the piece, and he too won't be exchanging Christmas cards with Stephen Lawrence, I wouldn't have thought, because he ended up only 15th in the end. It could have been a little bit better than that, but again, another bit of contact, and 2 into 1 doesn't go.
Well, look, I just want to say thank you to Josh Maynard. I forgot that we had a good battle. It was another purple car, far out. We had a good battle. We went into the pits. It came out of the pits. It was a real game of chess, battling with him, trying to figure out the best way to get around. And it was just good battles in the end. I think these purple cars, they're good races, and they were all at mid to back of the field at this particular race.
Excellent. Looking forward to getting your thoughts on a couple of things that I've been discussing here with Adam Lavis earlier in the piece with regards to the weekend that was in the real world later on tonight.
I don't know if people will like my opinion, but anyway.
No, but that's why I want it, because there's a few people on my side, there's a few people that disagree with me, there's a few people that have shown... We'll exchange it. We'll enjoy a chat off air in just a few moments' time. But yeah, there's a few people that have let them out the door, if you know what I mean, as a result of the comments that I've shared over the weekend, and I'm okay with that. We're going to a break. On the way there, Nick, though, obviously you're hoping that Sebring's not on the calendar next season, but are you going to stay loyal to the Porsche?
Of course. It may have a parachute on it in a straight line, but look, I'm enjoying the mid-corner speed. It's as close to an open wheel as you're going to get, the mid-engine rear drive. Always good practice. And it's one thing I've found with the iRacing as well, with the mid-engine cars, they generally, you really do notice them turn a lot better than a front-engine car.
Yep.
So me, for the way I drive and my style, that kind of thing, I really need the front end to go where I want it.
Yep.
So these mid-engine cars are good, because I did try the BMW in the off season. It's just couldn't get the front to bite and go where I wanted. So I'm going to stay loyal to the Porsche. Hopefully most of my team does too. But we just got to cop it on the fast tracks. I'm just glad there's no old Hockenheim or something.
Yeah, that's a fair point as well. Looking forward to this GT3 finale in just a few moments' time, ladies and gentlemen. Well done to Matty Dench. He's ticked one of the boxes that he needed to tick tonight. He got the job done in GT4. Now he goes out in pursuit of a bit of Monday Night Motorsport history with thanks to Waste Options in the upcoming GT3 finale to become not only a 5-time champion, but also win GT4 and GT3 in the same season of a GSRC competition. Quite extraordinary stuff. As I said, box 1 ticked. That's been checked. He got that, and he did it in emphatic style. A 104-point win in the championship in the end. Nick Wood did end up getting third. Gary Cousins, Jordan Malcolm, the top 5. Well done to Nick Wood. Michael Hammond in for 6th. Actually, Jordan, not too bad, actually, considering he didn't race the last 2 weeks to still finish 5th. Well done. 338 for Michael Hammond. Nadal Sharp. Nick Fodiatis up in 8th spot there. Dane Snadden and Samuel Matt up the top 10.
Just a quick thing. If we go back one page just quickly, Adam, someone needs to snap Dane Snadden up. Maybe Dane and Robert can team up there, because I'd love to see him in a team. And if we go to the team championship, oh, hey!
Yes. Well done, Nick.
Well, thank you. Well done to Gaz too. He carried the team for the most part there because I had a
Consistency is key.
That's it. I missed Sebring, then I can't remember what the rounds were, but I had to table round the next one back and all sorts of things. A bit like a grandpa, I didn't have my teeth in. I was just all over the show. So big thank you to Gazza for carrying the team, and then Mikey and Pete. I mean, far out. Very happy.
And you missed Detroit by the skin of your teeth as well, we understand.
Well,
yeah.
At the back of my eyelid to stuff.
So an Aussie Races Team Championship 1-2, but let's just take our hat off and tip it in the direction to Dench for a moment, because as a solo entrant in the Teams Championship, he was third.
Yeah.
I mean, the superhuman, there's no doubt about that. Well done. And Jordan Malcolm on that note also down there in lucky 7th.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at some of these teams in here. They got Sharp's got 3 teams in there. Yep. Twitchy Foot, all these guys, 1-9. You know, they're not teams that hang about. They're really good drivers across the field. I'm very proud to say that we probably have the healthiest GT4 championship on the internet. Yep. And I dare say we can back that up with the best GT3 championships on the internet. So watch this space. I'm glad we broadcast it.
So am I, mate. Looking forward to another season of Monday Night Motorsport coming up, of course, from April 17. But in the meantime, we're going to turn our attention from GT4 to GT3 waste options. Monday Night Motorsport across the platforms. The Gentleman Sim Racing Club. We're going from South America to North America next, to the World Centre of Racing, Daytona International Speedway, to the road course, and 90 minutes at GT3 heaven. Stay with us. Grand final night, part 2, from entree to main course, from Brazil to America, the United States. Actually, hang on. Yeah, there we go. That's better. To the Daytona International Speedway in Florida. How good is this going to be? Matty Dench on the cusp of uncharted territory in these parts. 5 times a GT3 champion if he can get the job done tonight. To go with a rare, and I think first, Monday night double, GT4 and GT3 in the same season. I don't think it's ever been done. So Matty Dench has all before him here. He's already got part 1 locked, loaded, signed, sealed and delivered. Now it's about ticking the final box in Waste Options GT3. Good to have you company wherever you're tuning in across Australia or indeed the world. I know Antonio's tuning in over there in New York. Good on you, mate. We are partway through. It's a 90-minute race coming up here. It's the final night of Monday Night Motorsport for this season. So term 1, night 1 of week 10. And there's the track and weather conditions for you. 9:40 in the morning. I'll come back to that once the server resets and we get into race trim. The Daytona International Speedway road course, 5.69 kilometres, synonymous, of course, with the Rolex 24-hour. Track and weather conditions looking very nice for racing here. Nick Fodiatis joining me for the call tonight. And Nick, we haven't never done a Waste Options GT3 finale at this venue. It's been a while since between drinks actually in general for the Daytona International Speedway road course. But what we lack in field depth tonight, we certainly make up for in quality, because you look at that front row, it's Matty Dench and Richard Mitchum.
Yeah, and you can see here the points. What do we got? Matthew Dench 481, Richard Mitchum 378. What's on offer tonight?
It's just about done. It is just about done. Adam Lavis, what is it? 105, 106 points on the line tonight?
So it's 90 points plus bonuses. So you can get,
and how many bonuses is the maximum?
You can get to just a bit over 100 points.
Okay. All right, so essentially, it's all it's just about impossible to see anyone else winning this.
Yeah, so I think like the Denchi's got like a 2 point. I think is his drop around, because I think he's got 2 left. One's a 1 point, one's a 2 point. So I think that might just scrape him through, because I think 103, 104 might be the max. 105 might be stretched in.
Righto. So Richard Mitchum's already lost out on the bonus point for pole position. So Dench pretty much has it wrapped up, is what we're saying. Nick, it'll be interesting here because 90 minutes, there's different strategy that can play out. It'll be interesting to see if this field engages in battle or whether it spreads out. And if that's the case, it could become a long 90 minutes at the office.
Well, we'll see. I mean, anything's possible, and you just don't know. Like, something could happen to anybody, a disconnect or anything. So, not over till the fat lady sings, and you just got to keep in it until the end.
Indeed, mate, indeed. There's the grid for you, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. And we do it with thanks to Waste Options, Blackout Electrical Solutions, Login Systems, West Orange Motors, Astute Finance, Fisher Door Lawyers and Flash Graphics. There's the grid. Matty Dench, Richard Mitchum, the front row, Shane Clancy, Wayne Hewitt, the second row, Daniel Birchnell, Guy Leach, the third row, Thomas Foster, Jared Knight, the fourth row, Holgerson and Ash Collins, the fifth row. The sixth row is where you'll find Brett Barker and Nick Wood. Seventh row, Glenn Arnott, Charles Mitchell. Eighth row, John Wright, Russ Green. Ninth row will be Dave Oliver, but he didn't join the grid just yet, so we might be out of luck there. We might already be down to 16. We'll wait and see. Matty Dench in the lead of the championship. Ash Collins being in third place at the moment, but only 10th on the grid. Thomas Foster fourth, but a fair chunk of points between those two. So it's seemingly unlikely that we'll see too much change here in the points table at the back end of proceedings. Although that being said, there's still a top 10 place on the line for Shane Clancy if he can scrape through with a solid result tonight and get the better of Brett Barker. Struggling on talking points with the field so small, but the race will evolve. That will give us plenty of talking points, no doubt. And if not, then we can always go back and talk politics. Matty Dench and Richard Mitchum on the front row as the field moves off behind the safety car. We loved coming to race here at this venue. Adam just had the track conditions up. Was that a 6 p.m. service start time that I saw there, Adam? So we're going to go into the night. Yep. So we will go into the dark. And that's one of the great aspects of racing at this venue. So we will go from daylight to sunset to dark. Ready to rock and roll. Yeah, good on you, Grant. Welcome to you and to everybody else tuning in to Monday Night Bingo and Monday Night Motorsport simultaneously on the platforms of the GSRC. We're ready to go. The final one of Monday Night Motorsport.
Bunch it up, boys.
Of the new season.
Bunch it up. Some big gaps here.
Season 12 of the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Night 1 of week 10 of term 1 of 2023. And an historic occasion in the making here for Matty Dench. Let's go racing one last time in Waste Options GT3. Let's do it from Daytona. Matty Dench brings them to the line at a moderate tempo. Now he hits the gas and gets going. The grand final is underway. Now, always sceptical about the approach to turn 1 because it can be sketchy at the best of times. Let's see if everybody can navigate their way through unharmed. Looks good so far. And no point engaging in too vigorous a battle at this point, Nick, because it is 90 minutes, but it's big stun there from Holgerson. A big sin to get him up into 6th spot, 8th spot rather, getting ahead of Jared Knight, but Knight wants the 4th. Foster as well. Foster gets through. Back into 7th. Holgerson now defending Knight as they make their way around for the first time. Dench, Mitchum, Clancy, Hewitt, Birchdale, Leach, Foster, top 7 remain where they started. Dave Oliver has joined the server at the back. 17th and last at the moment.
Well, it just goes to show, I mean, we've still got 17 cars. There's still a lot of cars on track, but it's a long race.
Indeed it is. 90 minutes, so half an hour longer than last week at Spa.
I don't think Holgerson got the memo, but that's all right. He's got a gap now.
And it's not exactly the easiest track either, as Holgerson got through on Foster, as we saw there. Sorry, on Knight, I should say. Knight goes back to Knight place. Now, have a look at this. Knight with a run down the inside. Knight down on the inside, turn 3 at the oval. Gets the job done. Thankfully, we're using the sports car configuration of this course, not the NASCAR one. It's a flat-out run through 3, 4 and down the main straight to turn 1.
You'll find that as the race goes on, tyres get old and brains get tired. Down here into turn 1, it's turning and braking at the same time. You'll start to see people locking fronts or spinning out.
Correct. So keep your eyes on that. So many different aspects of this that are fascinating in every sense of the word. And I guess the other thing as well, Nick, it is a challenging circuit, particularly the infield section. And as we edge close to the end of the race, tyre wear, fatigue, all those factors are going to play their role. Plus also that transition from daytime to nighttime and how these guys adapt to that. So it'll be well worth staying tuned and keeping an eye on, ladies and gentlemen. And at the end of the night as well, we've got some numbers to crunch in Pro-Am and Am because those championships are well and truly alive. They're contesting their grand finale in a separate server to this simultaneously, so we'll have the results from all 3 championships for you before we wrap up tonight. Although that being said, we'll be hoping to wrap up sooner rather than later because I've got a 2 a.m. alarm tomorrow morning and heading to Cessnock, so looking forward to that. Down the back straight we go, and Daniel Birchnell there in 5th spot. So second's not good enough for Richard Mitchum tonight, but he's at least going to consolidate that best of the rest status. He's got a 46-point buffer over Ash Collins, so he's got plenty of room or buffer room, wriggle room to work with here should something go awry.
Well, I mean, Matty Dench doesn't have to win the race, but it puts the pressure on Richard as well. So Adam can attest to this, and you'll find that around the oval part of the track, even through the bus stop, it's about forcing a mistake and getting a better run on somebody, whereas the infield provides, I feel, from here, forcing a mistake and then getting a run down into the first hairpin and again into the second hairpin, I think, are the best 2 passing zones.
Matty Dench, I think I'm right in saying, Adam Lavers can verify this, Dench literally only needs to finish tonight. In fact, if Richard Mitchum can't win the race, Dench doesn't even have to finish.
you go. I didn't know that. But yes, it's an uphill battle, but like I said at the very start, you just don't know. Anything can happen.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing what comes of the 2 interlude, if you like, between the end of this season and the start of the next one. There's always that period of tweaking and tuning and testing for these guys, because obviously the unfortunate reality of the way we operate things here, Nick, is that we always get a BOP update mid to late season, term 1, 2, 3 and 4, which reinvents the wheel a little bit and keeps everybody on their toes. But when we get to term 2, these guys will have had a fortnight to work out whether they want to stay with the car they've selected for this season or try something new. 9 times out of 10, there's always some change in there.
Yeah, oh look, there's always a change, but I mean, some people like particular cars, a lot of people like Ferraris, as we can see here, virtual under pressure. And then there's a lot of people that like to go for the mousetrap that's got the goods. So I like the challenge. So that's why I keep with the Porsche GT4 as we see move around the outside. Who was that? No?
Yeah, Birchnell fending off. No, Leach, but then Leach leaves the door open and Foster goes through. Birchnell leaves the door open for Foster as well. Contact almost. I tell you what, too early for that, guys. Foster then loses out to Leach as they get down to the horseshoe.
So after all that, nothing happened.
No, exactly. It was lively. It was lively. But not good enough for any change just yet.
We're only 5 minutes in. What's that? Lap 4 as well. So, move down the inside there. And that's what I mean about these. The hairpins are actually quite good because that's a late apex, that one. So you can do a little bit of an early dive and dive to the apex.
And let's be honest, turn 1, those 2 horseshoes, and probably the bus stop on the back straight are your best overtaking opportunities if you can't get it done on the banking or in the straight line. Yeah,
oh look, the bus stop's just too fast. If you are side by side, you're lucky, but it's very hard to get side by side there. So it's really trying to get them out of position and force a mistake, either going in too quick or too hot, or just getting their line wrong, which sets you up then to get them on the front straight. But with the levels of operator in this particular split, you don't see too many mistakes.
No, that's exactly right. Wayne Hewitt, already the fastest lap of the night so far, 1:44.03, sits in 4th place, chasing Shane Clancy. Richard Mitchum chasing Matty Dench, and the top 4 within about a second and a half of one another. Here comes Thomas Foster now looking for a spot in the top 5 on Daniel Birchnell. Got it. Foster to the inside across the start-finish line. But BM has such good straight line muscle.
Yeah, it's got some good straight line muscle, and if I was in the Ferraris, maybe a little bit of, I don't know if these guys know about it, but fuel saving. They're all flat out all the time, these guys, but yeah, fuel saving, if you're towards the front of the field, you might as well, right?
Fuel saving is going to be an interesting point, because obviously we believe with it being that extra 30 minutes, it's going to be a 3-stopper tonight for these guys. And those valuable tenths or hundredths by doing a little bit of fuel saving could prove vital in the greater scheme of things. One thing that I believe, there's been some discussion behind the scenes, Nick, I want your insights on it as well. I believe there's going to be a stipulation in the regulations for next season, and I am slightly taking the proverbial here, that Matty Dench will be required to drive the Ford GT next season. Just to see if he's as good as we think he is.
Well, I mean,
if anyone's going to the top of the summit, it's Dench.
Well, that's it. Even if we do force him, which I doubt it'll happen, but even if we do, he's still got 2 weeks to practice, so I'm sure he'll have the Henry singing at the top of its lungs. But just quickly, how good was the Diet Coke car? That looked all right. Bit of a flashback to the late 90s.
Exactly.
Dean Brabham and P. Morris. And the Brabham brothers winning at Bathurst. Who's that? Russ Green.
That might actually be our favourite livery of the season. Well, actually, no, sorry. Second favourite for me, because obviously anything that's yellow, like that thing two behind him, wins out in my book. And that's, of course, John Wright at the moment. That's a very nice looking yellow, that is. Very. It's got more green to it, but that's really that. If ever GT3 racing was to become an Olympic sport, that'd be Team Australia right there.
Just quickly, Adam, could I request a rearward-facing camera? I want to hear if Matthew Dench is already saving fuel. Because the spread between first and last is only 11 seconds. Here we go.
Right, and also more to the point, he's only got half a second on Mitchell Clancy and Hewitt, so either he is sandbagging a little bit and fuel saving and just, giving them false hope, or they are actually able to stick with it.
If you look on the track map, they're all within the straight. They can all fit within the straight, so...
at the end of the day, there is only 17 of them.
But, I mean, just to have that kind of spread between them. I mean, how did we have in GT4? Not including Adam, we didn't have 24 begin.
24 started the race in June.
Yeah. But, I mean, it would be ideal to save fuel now, especially when it's all close like this. Get a toe off the guy in front of you. It is a long race. We've still got an hour and 20 to go, so we've only done 10 minutes. So yeah, just keep on it, get into a rhythm. This track's really good to get into a rhythm. You can just lap it all day. A lot of these guys would have had practice anyway from doing the Daytona 24.
Correct.
And no need to get into any trouble, any of that stuff. You save that for the end of the race when you need to really push.
So two things. It didn't sound like any lifting and coasting there for Denchi. Also keep in mind, Nick, these guys can't clutch anymore. So lifting and coasting is just now lifting and coasting, so there's no clutching anymore.
That's right. That was part of the BOP update. Yep.
Yep. But also just to give Zach a little bit of hope. 36 in the other split, by looking at in the other server.
Well. And there was a discussion had about which split we showed tonight.
When?
But we stuck with Pro.
There's always going to be Pro.
Just on the lifting and coasting, I think I've only ever clutched when we had the NASCAR. I mean,
yes. That's, yep.
I always find rhythm-wise it's just better to...
Yeah, I'm more of a lift and coast, and I clutch when I know I need that little bit extra.
And then I always run everything as per a real car, so when you re-engage the gear, and if you don't rev match it, it chirps the rear wheels and you've got a high chance of spinning. So, it's good that they've taken away the clutch style lifting and coasting, a bit more real worldish. How much the spread now? We're on 13, nearly 14 seconds top to bottom. But there's still a lot of yellow and red numbers on the live timing here, so no gaps are really appearing.
13.6 seconds covers the whole field.
Rodri, early in the piece here. So down the back straight, down the front straight we go again, I should say. And that's Thomas Foster, Daniel Birchnell and Guy Leach that have been stuck to each other like glue so far. And down the turn.
I guess
higher line taken by Birchnell than Leach there as well.
If we did use a NASCAR track, it does give another hard brake zone, but the cars don't get enough speed, whereas for a NASCAR, their brake zones are twice what most regular cars are, so they got more passing opportunity.
It is conga line.
Look at the long conga line, yeah, exactly. Freight truck. Have a look at it.
They fit between the two headings.
Leach, Holgerson, Knight, Barker, Arnott, Collins, Wood, Green, Mitchell, Willett, and Oliver.
That's the thing. I think these guys are just settling in. Let's tick over some laps, not lose too much track position. Get
easing into it.
Stops. Yeah, get to the first set of stops. I don't know how many of these guys practice their pit-ins.
And also, I'm not sure. Daytona's not too. Daytona's one of those weird ones, tyres-wise, because you'd think with all the fast corners going left that you would ruin the right side tyres, but because of the banking, the tyres don't get that bad of a struggle. It's actually the left-hand sides with the hairpins in the infield that give the car more wear. But that being said, these guys have one set of tyres to use if they so wish to choose to.
Okay, interesting. And again, something that never used to be a talking point in GT3 in iRacing land was changing tyres during pit stops because the tyre durability was superior, and you paid too much of an invoice if you change tyres. Now all that's gone out the window. The tyres have less life in them. You don't pay an invoice for swapping tyres because you can do it simultaneously with filling the thing up. So
it's almost
it's become more of a discussion in the name of entertainment, hasn't it?
Well, it's in like the endurance series, then yes, the tyres are now just a freebie. But in this series with the fuel limit, it's like right on the edge. It's like 1 or 2 seconds extra to take tyres. If your tank is completely dry, so you need to get your tank fully dry, and then you minimise that damage.
And an inch is as good as a mile here. A second is costly in the greatest things of losing the train.
And that's also if you take all 4 tyres. The thing with GT3s is they only have one rattle gun in the lane. So if you only take 2 tyres, obviously it's not going to be a problem.
Round we go again. We'll get at some point here, considering his expertise is in the booth for a change, we'll get Nick Codiatis to take you for a hot lap, ladies and gentlemen, and talk you through a lap of the Daytona International Speedway. We've got enough time for our sled to do it tonight. 1 minute and 3/4 a lap at the moment, so that's going to give us 4 laps every 7 minutes, 12:7:84, and that's and 13:91. So, but you've got 3 runs down pit lane coming up, so you're going to lose a little bit of time there. So if we're going 13 by 4, we're talking 52. I'd say take one away from that. I reckon we're on the cusp of probably 51 laps tonight if I've done my sums right just now.
Leachy's finally got a run.
Sorry?
Leachy finally got the run on Birchnell.
Yes. Leachy. Oh dear, brilliant. Displaces Birchnell back to 7th. Have a look at this further back. Glenn Ardett fending off Alan Holgerson. Ash Holland is trying to go with Brett Barker and Jared Knight.
Holgerson has dropped 4 spots in the last few laps. So
4 laps every 7 minutes. 1 minute and 3/4 and 2 is 3.5. 3.5 times 2 is 7. So that part's right. And there are 13 7s in 91. So 13 by 4, 52. 51 I'm going with. I'm going to go with 51 and stick with that prediction until such time as we see what the transit time is like down pit lane, because if we lose too much down pit lane, that might go back to 50. But 50, 51, I'm not willing to wager 52 at the moment. We'll wait and see. And we know that there'll be a little tyre wear creep in, so therefore the times may not remain as quick as they are at the moment. There will be some pace wear off as the night unfolds. So let's see if there's acculations. There's another one for your bingo card, Grant. Let's see if they're on. I was on fire at first. 27. So we got to 27. We hit the bingo card there. We'll wait and see if I'm on the money for... again, that isn't a strong point, folks. So we'll wait and see if I'm on the money or not. Dan Schmitchum, Clancy Hewitt, and Forrester the top 5 at the moment.
So it looks
yes, good of you. Thank you.
We've just started to get a third group. So Thomas Foster and Leachy and Birchnell have just got a little bit of a break of the other conga line. So we've now broken into 3 distinct groups.
Actually, that was... Let's be perfectly honest, after the amount of ejaculating we've done over the course of time on the platforms of the GSRC, you could say that me saying that maths isn't a strong point is selling you a Brenton Hobson. When he comes in here and says, I don't really like that track, I don't think I'll go all that good, and then goes out and blitzes them. And we haven't seen Hobbo for a while, but we hope he's well. Good on you, mate. Nice to have you on board if you are tuning in. Matty Tench, Richard Mitchum, Shane Clayton, Hewitt and Thomas. Top 5 saved me, Nick.
Oh, he's racing. Just quickly jump onto Twitch. I believe he's doing an Australian Simsport.
Yes, he is actually.
And he's in an 86. With a friend of ours, Ben Snell. Yeah, he's doing that at the moment.
Right, makes a good point. It's in the log somewhere. Go and have a look at Road Atlanta TCR all that way back. That's still one for the people really.
Parker's no mistake here. He's in trouble. Yeah, a little bit of a rear chirp of the locks into that corner, so these HTS guys will be looking for blood here. You might just get away with it. he's done well there.
Taking it in, just for me personally, you just be taking it in. Not really much you can do right at this moment in time, but also you want to feel how the car's handling, how you're going, where your strengths and weaknesses are, how the tyres are going, and what your fuel burn is. I'd be probably more concerned about fuel numbers right this very minute, and just seeing where it's all going to shake out after this first stop. After that first stop, you then have already got some data in the bank to then make your decisions from there till the end of the race.
Yeah, well, once you get to that first stop, you sort of know what your fuel range is. You get that first indication of your tyre percentage, so you can work out whether you're going to need tyres or not, and then you can start planning your race out from there. Because I don't know if some of the viewers want to know with iRacing, some of the cars allow you to see your live temperatures and pressures. But tyre wear wise, unlike some other racing games, you only see that when you actually come to the stop and actually come to your box, and then it updates that only when you do your stops. So that's the only time you get an indication of how much your tyres have worn down.
Yeah, exactly. And see, it looks like most people are settling in.
All right. Have you guys still got me? Just making sure I'm still online here.
Yeah, got you now. Got you now. Yeah.
All right, yeah, it has been, and it is playing up a little bit even on the hotspot, but I was expecting that because the hotspot's not as strong as the 11.
Hello,
internet.
early stop.
Here we go, an early stop, all right, lap 13, lap 12, the end of lap 12 for Foster and Birchnell, both on pit road. So this is interesting because, again, if I'm saying we get to 51, I think that's what we settled on, wasn't it? Well, yeah, 3 stops, no. They'd have to go 39. They'd have to go 13 lap stints the rest of the way. 13 lap stints the rest of the way. So 13, 13, 13, and 12 gets you to 51. So it's not as early as we think. If they can get 13 laps out of their stint, which the rest of the field are showing that you can. If it is a 3-stopper, 13, 13, 13 is 39, and 12 is 51. So that's what we're banking on.
Come on. The reason I'm saying it's early is because normally the cars get about 24 minutes out of the tank. So and they've come in at 21 minutes. So that's at least a lap earlier than theoretically they could have gone. So they're just basically using a little bit of their strategy now, taking a bit of the flexibility and trying to get out of the pack or find some sort of a different strategy.
And this is the other thing as well. So this will be another talking point in a few moments' time, Nick. We'll get an indication as to how far these guys go. So whoever goes the longest, that'll give us the threshold as to where that defining number is at the back end. Look at the huge moment! It's a big save as well, but it's going to cost him 3 spots most likely. He's got Glennon and all over the back of him going into turn 3 and 4 of the Oracle. And right around the outside, and Holgerson's going to go with him.
He's going
to lose 4 spots here if he's not careful, but he's actually going to save time because it looks like... No, they're all coming to pit road. They're all coming to pit road. Look at this.
It's like NASCAR.
What about that from Holgerson, I think it was, just cutting through on the inside?
See, that goes back to my point with Brett Barker there. You just stay on his tail and you force the mistake to get the pass done.
Yep, the pressure. Exactly. So they're all in at the end of 13. Right. So there you go.
I don't know who it was, but someone reversed then. So someone's lost a bit of time.
Yep. And Denchi's out at 18.8. 18.8 also for Mitchum. 19.4 for both Clancy and Hewitt. And Hewitt gets by Clancy in the pit stops, but Clancy gets him back to turn 1. I tell you what, it's frantic, this pit lane sequence. Here we go. Thomas Foster up to 6th spot, and hopefully for his sake, maybe 3rd, 4th, 3rd. Look at this, Foster's coming through with a charge. Up to P3 on the inside of Clancy to the horseshoe. Foster up 4 spots in the pit sequence. But he's got an invoice to pay at the back end of it because he's got to go and get an extra lap of fuel from somewhere. 13 looks as though it's the threshold, so our numbers are right. So that's a critical lap. That critical lap that we talk about is, of course, going to be lap 38, lap 39. It'll be one either side. Lap 38 or 39 is going to be that critical number based on what we've seen here thus far, unless someone can stretch it 14, 15 laps for a stint. But I don't think they're going to be able to do that tonight. They're chewing too much fuel.
So Clancy and Hewitt lost a little bit of time in the stop there. They stopped, and so did Guy Leach. They all were like about half a second slower in the pit stop. So I'm wondering if that is fuel, whether they were chewing a bit more fuel, or whether they did take some tyres then. So it's been hard to tell. Yeah, so they just lost a little bit of time there to Denchi and Mitchum, and obviously to Foster as well, who's leapfrogged them. And now they're in this five-way battle rather than being in a four-way battle at the front.
Wow. Dench, Mitchum, Foster, then Clancy, Hewitt, Leach and Birchnell all in the train.
And biggest
Foster is third, dragging them along.
Biggest loser in the pit phase, poor old Russ Green got a speeding penalty.
7 seconds for his pit stop. That's a killer. Green on pit road, 40 seconds longer than everybody else. He's 35 away from the nearest car, and John Wright. Only a safety car gets him back in the game from here.
So after that pit sequence, this is how I generally attack the races. See how far you can go, and then from that point on, you can kind of make plans of how hard you push. If you've got fuel mixture, where you put that fuel mixture, that's way too quick. You can already tell. Well, you got to push the limits, I guess, at the end of the day. So now these guys have worked out how far they can get on fuel, now you can kind of start working out track position and the like, if you need to save or really push hard to get that spot in front of you. So we can see there's a couple of distinct groups formed now.
If you're wondering what that wind is in the background too on Nick's windsock, it is just the fan, because it's obviously very humid and muggy in his sim rig at the moment, but that's okay. So if you're wondering what that little bit of ambience is, it's just the fan working overtime on an April Monday night in Queensland.
But yes, you can see there's a couple of groups now. So you got Matthew Dench by himself, you got Mitchum and Foster together, and then you got basically from Clancy backwards. There's a big group there. So now you'd be starting to push for track position. Where do you need to be for the next sequence of stops?
Lap 16 is what we're working at the moment. We're almost at third race distance, almost half an hour done at the Daytona International Speedway. Oh, contact! The two teammates at one.
He's got damage. He's got suspension damage.
Oh no. And that is Ash Collins. That's his night going up in smoke. Back to 12th he goes. He's third in the championship. Only Thomas Foster is within striking distance of taking that off him tonight. But he's not going to catch Richard Mitchum, given that he's about to lose a chunk of time, limping it back to pit lane. Oh boy. Ash Collins is going to have to tow it to the garage.
Oh, he just lost the rear. And he just lost the rear on the turn in.
Slows right down.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And now he's got that right rear, left rear suspension. He's not happy about it.
So Russ Green is already in the pit lane. He's second visitor of the night. He's been there for 1 minute and 3/4. Not sure what the cause of that was. Ash Collins is on the tow rope and in pit lane as well. That may as well be his night done. He won't fight back from that, because he's also going to have to come in for that extra pit stop now, because he still won't make it on 2 more stops. This one and one more. He's going to have to do 3. So he's just made a rod for his own back. He's got an invoice to pay for the rest of the night. Russ Green's got 2, because he's already had that 40-second add-on. And now he's in pit lane again as well. So very quickly, there are some competitors just essentially racing to salvage bugger all at the end of the night here.
The hard luck stories are starting early.
Yep, exactly.
I look at it this way: you got to finish a race. You've started, you got to finish it, but also you're going to pick up something for your hard work, regardless of where you finish. And at the end of the day, you can do, improve your driving skills and just get some laps in, and just all around learn from it. So, as much as you might be by yourself, such as Russ Green.
Ash Collins and Russ Green, the two in pit lane at the moment. So yeah, it's unfortunate because, as you know, Nick, you're basically just out there making up the numbers beyond this point when your night's already gone up in smoke like that. And it can be frustrating, but at the end of the day, well, especially at this end of the season where it means nothing in the greater scheme of things with regards to the championship, even earlier in the season when you're out there and you're racing just to salvage something, it can be just frustrating because you know that there's no gain in doing what you're doing.
There's no gain, but you just don't know. Someone could fall off again and do a worse job, and it's always the bloody worst is when you do it at the back end of a race. At least at the start of a race, yeah, you've done it, get going, you had all the race to make it up. Whereas at the back end of the race, you've done all the hard work to then fall off the road.
Well, so I just had a quick look as well. So with only 17 in the server and tonight being endurance points, the worst you can walk away here, as long as you stay within the 75% rule, is 27 points. So even if you are 17th like Ross is now, it's still a good fistful of points if you have in a close battle somewhere in your part of the championship.
And we've already tackled that 75% number. That's going to be 39 laps if we get the 51. So 39 the number that these guys have to get to. So yeah, okay, so there is, I guess, in a triple points or an endurance points method or scenario, and I'm going to come back to that in a moment as well with regards to Supercars. Ash Collins and Russ Green, there is some merit in going back out there and scraping home and claiming some points. And it's not likely that they'd lose but it's not likely that they'd lose 13 laps in pit lanes. So Russ is down 3 and Collins is down 1. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Dench, Mitchum, Foster, the top 3. Foster dragging the train along, Clancy, Hewitt, Leach and Birchnell. Let's go on board with Thomas Foster, if we can, please, Adam, and get Nick Fodiatis to talk us through a lap of the World Centre of Racing.
All right, so we're coming through the turn 4 complex of the oval for the NASCARs. Onto the front straight at Daytona International Speedway. Come across the tri-oval, across the start-finish line here. You got inside. You got a turning and braking zone down here, so you got to kind of straighten it out as best as you can. There's a couple of different ways you can go. I always try and use the tyres as an apex. Run wide here onto the right-hand curb, straight across the left-hand curb, and then set it up for the first of the hairpins. Another great spot to pass. Apex on this one's about in the middle, so it's not too bad. Plus you've got some extra bit of road here on the other side of that white line, as you can see. Flat out through the left-hander up here, and then down into the other hairpin, which this one has a later apex, so you can dive bomb some people down to the apex there if you need to. But you need the late apex to get a good run down the next straight, and then a good run through this next corner, which leads onto the banking. So a couple of different ways you can cut it. These guys are keeping it tight. I like to run around wide and cut back in. And just remember, banking is a hill too, so you want to keep it on the low side. And we always see with multi-class racing, and generally the slower cars keep to the bottom and the fast cars go around the top. Down the back straight, set yourself up for the bus stop, which is coming in here at 275, slow it down, across the 4 curbs, 1, 2, 3 and 4. They did that about 150 kilometers an hour. And then you need a good run out of there, and good momentum to get a good run all the way through here across the start finish line again. So you find that the bus stop isn't really that slow, so you really need to have a good balance of the car. And then have really good braking down here, braking and turning, so you need good tyres as well. So, all in all, there is a lap.
Very nicely done. Collins and Green have been in pit lane for 6.5 and 7 3/4 minutes respectively. So, again, we're keeping an eye on that threshold, that 13-lap marker, to see if they can get back out there and salvage something, or whether they'll just park up for the night. Oh, well, yeah, exactly. Particularly in Collins' case, I guess, because he's third in the championship. But, and that is without any drop points at his disposal as well. He's got 0 in that drop points column, by virtue of a couple of non-classifieds and DNRs.
Yeah, so really, Ash really wants to get there, because those 27 points could be really vital with his battle for third with Thomas Foster, if Foster stays up to the front of him.
Foster's been impressive. There's no doubt about that. I mean, without being show-stopping, his season started out with an 8th, a 10th and a 14th. So started out slow, but then he creeped his way into the top 10. 7th. The sprint round at Sonoma didn't go to plan for him. A non-classified in the 13th, then a non-classified in the 12th the week after. So sprint rounds really haven't been with his liking this season. 5th, then 20th, then 9th, and a not classified in the 4th. So without doing too much, consistency has heralded him 4th in the championship. It's a case of, had a couple of those other rounds gone his own way, he could have been really there with a chance of upstaging and upsetting Ash Collins tonight. So, and he could still. I mean, he's sitting 4th, and 4th is worth what to him tonight? Adam Lavis?
Hang on. I think it's 66, I think.
Oh, okay, so he'd fall just short, because at the moment the deficit is 73 to Ash Collins. So if he can find a way by Shane Clancy, all bets are off with regards to,
Well, got to be in it to win it, right? So even just to pick up a spot here or there, you still got to complete the race. So.
So Richard Mitchum is second, Shane Clancy is third. We're watching that train, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. You're watching the twilight kick in here in Florida. Elsewhere on the racetrack, Jared Knight still under pressure from Nick Wood and Brett Barker. Brett Barker, of course, trying to fight back after that mistake earlier. He's sitting at 11th. Alan Holgerson down in 13th as well, so a bit of work to do for him too. Dave Oliver's moved up to 14th by virtue of some shortcomings for John Wright, but also Ash Collins and Russ Green.
So your point systems is 90 for first, 81 for second, 72 for third, 66, 63, 60. So it's a 9-point gap for the podium positions, 6-point gap from third to fourth, then 3 points from then on out. And he's back up to 72 points.
There you go. Oh boy. 73 the buffer, Collins to Foster. Collins might be starting to sweat, I think. If he can't get back out there and he's not classified and therefore scores 0, or it could be very tight. And if Foster can have a clean race, and that'll herald some bonuses as well, won't it?
He's currently the most improved. He's currently up to 4 spots.
And most, that's true.
And
yeah,
that's
no, Glenn Arnott's up 5. Glenn Arnott, Glenn Arnott's up.
If he can get most improved, that's 4 points. If there's a clean race, I believe that's 7 points. And obviously fast laps worth the 1, but I'm pretty sure Dench will have a stranglehold in that. Well, actually, that being said, Dench isn't currently the fastest lap.
No, not at the moment, no.
Fastest lap currently is Wayne Hewitt.
Wayne Hewitt, yeah. So 1:44.03, and he set that very early in the piece too.
There you go, some inside low ground, some fuel saving happening.
How good. I mean, we've been sitting here for a few seconds just letting the sound do the talking. GT cars around Daytona, there's just a sweet sound to them, isn't there?
Especially with these V10s, V12s. Actually, you get the whole lot, haven't you? V10s, V12s, V8s. They all sound awesome.
It's a good thing about RS. We've got that slightly different that different note, so everyone has their own preference of which car sounds good, and which one they don't like the sound of.
I saw some, just on the subject of iRacing, we saw something on April Fool's Day, of course. Queensland didn't bother with April Fool's Day because they were still an hour behind the rest of the Eastern Seaboard, so that made them the fool anyway. But with regards to iRacing...
Is that what, Grant, in your bingo book?
Exactly. I'm just doing it for Grant Gill's bingo book right now. I've already had a dig about Fist World Internet and all that sort of stuff as well. And the dial-up that we were dealing with on Saturday before the crossover. But anyway, with regards to iRacing, they did let out a screenshot the other day to say that the rain servers are on the way. They're on the improve. They're very much in development. So, which is good to see because that changes the game completely when they arrive. And the other thing as well, there are some really cool tracks coming up on in the development phase as well in later patch updates, including Motorland Aragon, more synonymous with bike racing, but Motorland Aragon is on the way later in the year, and there are a few other good tracks as well.
Is that Portimao Aragon? No, sorry, Aragon's that motor. Yeah, that'd be. I'm wondering what that'd be like in a road car. Like, it's definitely a bike track. Like
has just been launched as well, hasn't it? So
yeah. Jerez is definitely a bike track, so I'm a bit hesitant on Jerez. It could be alright, depending on the car type. But Aragon looks like a good track, so it'd be interesting to see what it's like in a car. But I really want to see Portimao and Mugello. That'd be real good to have.
I think it was Julian Mookie that shared the update weeks back on our platforms, on our servers, on our social media group, that suggested what tracks were coming up and developing and the like. I still want 2 more Aussie tracks on there and permanent built tracks as well, like Tailem Bend and Sydney Motorsport Park. If those two join and we can go night racing on an Aussie track, I'm all for it. Well, actually no, sorry, we've already done night racing on an Aussie track. Thanks, Jared Daly, Phillip Island. That was fun.
SFE should be good, especially with their different configurations as well.
True. Now, a couple of real-world things to tackle off while we go through this. See, this is the great thing about these 90-minute races. We get flat action and intensity and frenetic stuff at the start and at the end, but in that middle patch, like we're in at the moment, we just get that processional sort of caper unfolding where everyone's just going through the motions to get to that third and final round of pit stops and then worry about the sprint to the flag. So whilst we're in this middle period, yes, go for it, Adam.
We're also at that point where the ambient light is starting to take over.
Exactly. So the lights are on at the Daytona International Speedway. We would be at around 7:30 local server time, which is American Eastern Daylight Time at the moment. There it is, 7:32. You beauty. Clock moving to us as fast as the real world. Track temperature 25 degrees, ambient 23, partly cloudy conditions there at Daytona, April 2, 2023. So whilst we're going through the motions here, probably an opportune moment to tick off a couple of boxes. Good luck to anyone that's heading to Mount Panorama this weekend to contest either in the support card, including the Circuit XL Bathurst Challenge, who I'll be working closely with, and of course also Sunday's High-Tech Oils Bathurst 6-hour coverage on Stan Sport, Saturday from midday, Sunday from 9 a.m, all the way through to the completion of the 6-hour itself, scheduled for an 11:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time start. Then, of course, the next thing I should say, and I want Nick Fodiatis' thoughts on this as well. I mentioned it earlier in the call, Nick. I'm a little bit dirty. I'm dirty on 3 things in real-world motoring terms at the moment. One is one-way streets, because there have been 2 lunatic imbeciles going the wrong way up Limestone Street here in Ipswich in recent weeks. I mean, fair dinkum. Yeah, just
is that near Limestone Park? Is it?
No. Limestone Street's the street opposite Brisbane Street. So Brisbane Street goes west-east, and then east-west is Limestone Street. So, you've got this group closing in on Mitchum 2.5 is the, so that's an interesting point as well. The train working together to try and close the gap to Richard Mitchum, but it's not close enough for Mitchum to be uncomfortable just yet. But keep an eye on that as it unfolds. Well picked up, Grant. He really should be in the booth here with us, actually. He always adds some great insight, either via our comment thread or via... Here we go, early stop. Thomas Foster down to 25. He's zigging when everybody else stags at the moment. He's the first of the second stoppers at the top end of town. Dave Oliver and Daniel Birchall have already been in. Here come Thomas Foster and Jared Knight.
I was about to say with Birchall and Oliver, and sort of for Foster as well, but he's a bit more on the cusp. They've pitted for their second stop before half race distance, so is that a bad sign or just them getting their stops out of the road early?
Well, think about it. I'm not terribly concerned by them zigging now because, as I say, there's 3 stints of 13 and 1 of 12 in this race if you're breaking it up even. So they've gone 12. These guys are going to go 13. So whether they go like 38 or 39, we wait and see. And obviously now, Knight and also Foster, they've committed to 38 now because they won't do 14 laps out of the tank. Fuel is really tight is the word we're getting on screen there from Rob Hill.
Well, it actually might be the case because like this track is a lot of full throttle, so the usual average we have of the 25 minutes may be a bit shorter here due to the percentage of full throttle around here. So it could be a little bit tighter with the windows, and a matter of these guys actually forward thinking and trying to make sure they get their laps in without having to do that splash and dash for a full stop.
Dench is in. Mitchum will follow. And surely will Clancy, Hewitt, Leach and Arnott. Here we go. Second round of pit stops. Although, no, Clancy's in. Here they come. They're all in. Top 5 on pit road. And as Grant points out, and we've already tackled this one as well, no clutching has changed the game totally. So gripe number 1 was imbeciles driving the wrong way up one-way streets in peak hour, I might add.
Dench's up on jacks.
Denchy's taking tyres. Here we go. Let them come back to that. Denchy taking a tyre. Here we go. Now, this is interesting. 21.1
Brett Barker also on jacks.
To stop for Dench.
So Denchy and Barker were the only two I saw on their jacks. Here comes Foster's lost out a little bit this time. So this time the overcuts work.
There we go. 2 seconds longer to take fuel for tyres, according to Grant Gill there. So that's a fair point. Oh, John Wright's now been brought undone by a slowdown. He's been done by an iRacing penalty, stop and hold. 47 seconds, that second stop for John Wright. So that's another contender out of business.
So there's the last pit stop details. So you can see Denchy's stop 2 seconds longer, but his transit time not 2 seconds longer. So very efficient through the lane.
Oh boy, we reach an interesting point of the race now. Past half race distance, 27 laps in the can, 48.5 minutes gone, 41.5 to go. You're watching grand final night of Term 1 of 2023, Week 10, Night 1, on the platforms of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club, and Matty Dench has all but etched himself another piece of history here. Oh no. Exactly, Grant. Talk about pay. And that's the type of fluke that people have been pushing upon me for years.
Oh, he's only just deep.
Better known as laryngitis. Yeah, you're right. He's only just.
If he stayed on the track and then pulled in at the last second, he would have had a longer brake zone as well.
Yeah, straight up braking zone, yeah. And plus, the thing with staying out there is you got that the lines on the track as your reference points to know when to brake.
iRacing 101, Nick, you've said it for as long as we've worked together, mate. Practice your pit entry.
Well, practice your pit entry, but even just, as Adam just pointed out, knowing landmarks, the brake markers, all that kind of thing. And you watch NASCARs when they pit in there, they don't come in off turn 4. They hang out above that double yellow line and they cut in at the last minute to get a straighter braking zone, but also a longer braking zone. So, if you've got any troubles, you can just jump off the brakes and kind of go back onto the circuit if you need to. So, unfortunately, trying to get the shorter line into the pit lane hasn't paid off, because now he's got a diagonal in that brake zone from where he hits the brakes down to the marker cones, and the line is closer on the left-hand side. So I guess you could lengthen the braking zone by aiming for the right-hand side, but it just doesn't work as well.
It's intense here at the moment, there's no doubt about that. We've got to an interesting point of the race.
Here comes the light effects.
And that will test the visibility if you're ever looking in the rearview mirror. Now it's interesting too, Clancy, Hewitt, Lurch, Foster and Birchnell are now the train again. So 3rd through 7th separated by a handkerchief at the moment. Mitchum out on his own, but he's only 1.8 up the road, so that 2.5 that Grant was talking about is now only 1.8. Also now Russ Green officially out of business, scrubbed out because he's 14 laps down, so forget about that. He won't be classified even if he does get back on the racetrack. And Ash Collins is on the cusp. As soon as Dentcher passes the line this time by, he'll be 13 laps down, and he may as well be scrubbed out as well. So really unfortunate way for the season to end for Ash Collins. He may still get 3rd in the championship. We'll punch those numbers after the fact. And Russ Green, unfortunately, first the slide down, and then whatever happens second to bring him undone.
And like Dave Oliver's usually comes to the chat with us in the broadcast. It's actually interesting to see. He seems to be one of the people that's been affected the most by the clutching, because he's normally one of those people that was always getting the extra long fuel stops. But tonight he's on the short side. He's doing the one less lap than everybody else. So I'm wondering if the lack of clutching has really hindered his fuel saving technique.
Yeah, well, that's a fair point as well. And this is there you go. Grant pointing out again. Foster first stop step 1 and 2. Needs to find something somewhere. Yeah, that's a fair point. 1:44.01. Wayne Hewitt is his previous fastest number of a 1:44.03, and he does it in the train. Very nicely done. So 4th place holds the fastest lap again. 1:44.19 for Clancy, 1:44.04 for Leach. So this is the train that's eking out the fastest numbers of the night thus far. Dench hasn't done it yet. 1:44.3 is his best at the moment.
So Foster managed to get the...
Oh, boy.
So Foster managed to find that 13-lap stint like most of the other people would last time by.
In stint 1, that's right.
But people like Birchnell, who still hasn't done a 13-lap stint. And then Jared Knight did a 13 at the start, but then they only did 12 this time last time by. So he used a bit too much fuel in his second stint. So some of the guys just said, if we have a multiple of 12 or 13 for this lap count.
Hang on. Yeah, just as you say that, Dave Oliver's also got an invoice to pay because he's now on pit road for a 3rd stop on lap 29. So he's now on a 4-stopper as well. And I'm not sure what that's all about either. That's a real strange one to see him on pit road.
Oh, hang on. I think I might know what this is.
Uh-oh. Don't tell me. Here we go. Bus stop. Uh-oh. I don't like the look of it. Oh, he's been brought undone by Nick Wood. No.
Slowest crash ever.
The sliding Nick Wood gets into the side of Dave Oliver and breaks the steering, I reckon. Let's have a look at it again. Let's have a look at the point of impact. This will be front left, I reckon.
I think it's door, but then he goes into the wall here. That's the one that gets it.
but it's the impact that shifts that whole momentum and steers him hard right.
And the steering's not quite straight, yeah.
So it'll be front right steering done. The impact was front left. Oh dear, Dave Oliver's night done. He won't factor in contention here, but we know what he's like. If he can get back out there, he will do so. But he'd already admitted at Le Mans how frustrating the season had been for him. Dench, Mitchum, and then Clancy, Hewitt, Leach, Foster and Birchnell. Still a 5-way fight. Anything beyond that, forget about it. There's no battles forming further back.
So Foster wasn't happy.
These 5 and that's it.
So if Foster wasn't happy with Clancy's pace earlier, he's going to be even less happy now. He's got 3 cars ahead of him. But that should help him save some fuel if he can keep in the tow, though. So it might be one of the lesser of two evils here. If he can get the fuel saved this stint, and then just go for help for leather at the next stint, that might be the way to go.
Indeed. So it feels as though, just as I thought we were going to go through a slow processional sort of phase here, Nick, anything but with the amount of drama unfolding. First for Oliver, and Dave has... Dave's parked up for the night, I think. Yeah, so Dave's exited hard left, stage left, gone, and that's fortunate for him. And he's got 14 laps on, 13 laps from Collins and 15 laps on Green. I don't think they're rejoining either, so he'll be 15th, but he won't be classified tonight. Dave Oliver, that's unfortunate. Dench, Mitchum, Clancy, Hewitt, Leach the top 5 here, so no change. The top 4 remain where they started as well, which is important to know.
So I think
it's really tonight, Glen Arnott up 5.
Pretty sure in turn 1 there, there's no clutching obviously, but there was definitely a bit of lifting and coasting, I believe, by Shane coming in turn 1 there. So just rolling with the throttle a little bit, just try and just get those little bits of couple of mils here, couple of mils there, it all adds up in the end. Especially if the fuel number is right in that bubble between the 12 and 13 laps.
Just looking at live time, this is the only group that's actually within the each of each other. Everybody else is spread out.
But I will say, every time I look at live timing, the entire field basically will be doing high 45s, high 44s, low 45s. So the entire field is very much on a similar pace.
There's a big save there. So with 33 to go. Can they make it home from here, Adam?
Not from here. So it looks like,
no.
As I said, like normally with most normal tracks, it's about 25 minutes, but it looks like 21. But that's a motor. Here with the higher fuel burn, it looks like it's like closer to 21, 22 minutes. So they need to get another 10 minutes out of this to be safe. And even then, they're still got to worry about Dench doing an extra lap. The Lambo's got a nice onboard sound.
It does indeed. Let's enjoy the sweet sounds of the Hurricane here as we continue to talk. 32 minutes to go in this race. So a little over an hour server time. It'll be pitch black at Daytona by the time we get this one done. Stay with us to post-race. We'll wrap up the season that was. Look ahead to turn 2. And everything in store there, but now that we've got a chance.
Mitchum is getting very close these days. He's starting to fall back. He's down to 1.6 seconds. One of those things you don't want to get down to a second because then they start getting a tow effect.
So to put a full stop on a couple of things here, Clint Collard pointing out that Shane's being careful with fuel burn, as he has to be as the leader of the train because everyone else is benefiting off getting the drag from him, getting the tow. Whereas he's the one doing the heavy lifting at the moment. So he's got to be careful because that could be the difference between 12 and 13 lap stints here. And you need 3 13s and a 12 to get home. We've established that already. And when Dench isn't getting to 14, no one's getting 14. 13's the threshold. This couldn't be more tight this couldn't be tighter if you scripted it in terms of making it and not making it on that 51st and final lap. There couldn't be a cough and splutter on the way to the line tonight. That is how marginal we are on fuel. 30 minutes and 50 seconds to go, and still so much to play for here on the Daytona International Speedway road course. What's interesting too, so now that we're just watching the train go round, and that's the interesting thing too, Nick, before I go back to making the points that I wanted to make earlier, just so that we can fill up Grant's bingo card. The reality of the situation is, you watch these guys here, Hewitt, Leach, Foster and Birchnell, they know what, they're playing a little bit of gamesmanship here, aren't they? They're happy to sit in and follow because the points aren't going to be won or on the line or up for grabs until that third round of pit stops has come and gone.
Exactly. You want to try and get yourself into a good position so you can pounce, short fill, leapfrog over the guy in front of you or guys in front of you. And that's where like an undercut may come into play, or even an overcut.
All right. So Dench is clear by the margin of 4.5 seconds, and an inch is as good as a mile around here. This is there are two battles on the track. This one and the Knight-Holgerson battle for ninth at the moment. Although this is about to become two battle packs in a moment, because Foster and Birchnell are quickly dropping off the train.
Which is the last thing Foster needs with his fuel.
Exactly. Given how marginal he is, maybe he needs to sacrifice a little bit more and let Birchnell take up the front running in that battle. Hang on.
That's because these three have all lifted and coasted, and he's realised he needed to close the gap, so he didn't lift and coast that time.
But in saying all of that, the Bibber's got great legs as well, so they hadn't completely lost the train. Now we're back to a battle in 5 again.
And Mitchum's just eked back over 2 second mark, so he's just managing that gap.
2.1, fluctuating between 2 and 3 seconds. There's no doubt about that. But he's comfortable. He's not under any sort of real threat or pressure. So, whilst we continue to watch this one play out, we're keeping an eye on lap 38-39 here, folks. 28 and a third minute to go. So, 28 and a quarter now to go in this race. Next round of pit stops, 3.5, 4.5 laps away max. Gives us time to nip a couple of things in the bud. So the funniest thing today, I mentioned earlier the stupidity of people going up the one-way streets the wrong way. I passed a bloke sitting at the traffic lights, but because he was pointing the wrong way, there were no lights for him. He was just sitting there waiting for his opportunity to turn the car around. That was I can't say it on air, but that was just ludicrous. Speaking of ludicrous, though, you would think, as I said there earlier, you would think with the Supercars Championship, Nick, they've got 4 different points formats that they utilise throughout the course of the season. You would think that they would have an opportunity to reinvent the wheel with regards to maybe going just flat-out sprint racing at Albert Park rather than that calamity that we saw on particularly Friday and Saturday.
It was a calamity for those guys, but anyway, I think it should be a non-championship race. To be perfectly honest, now that Formula 1 Neil Crompton was trying to get across to the viewers, and yeah, looks like they're gonna be bumped next year anyway. So, or at least bumped down the order side. No, I don't see a point. It was always fun kind of thing. It was at the end of the season or the start of the season anyway. So, I think it should be a non-points championship race, to be perfectly honest there.
I think a few people would be in agreement with you after the weekend. I mean, take nothing away from the guys that, performed well. They played within the rules and what was at stake there. But for me, it was shades of Adelaide 2016 and the farcical scenes that we saw there.
Well, I mean, it always should have been surfers and the Grand Prix were always a support category as a non-championship race. So yeah. Anyway, it's just my opinion. I feel that it's just, yeah, we're there for open wheels, and them bringing the F2 and F3. What a gift! What a gift! We've never had that before ever.
I think they definitely need to come back.
And yeah, to show the junior formula and to show the guys that are up and coming, and no doubt a lot of the population that was there aren't as hardcore as us, but they watch them on Netflix, and yeah, no doubt their favourite name or driver or somebody that they met might make it onto the Netflix show and get a drive, you know? So,
and for guys like Jack doing it, hasn't had a chance to race in Australia. This is his first crack to have a home race.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was the catalyst, really. The fact that we do have Aussies in F2 and F3 now, that was the catalyst to get them down under in the first place. And now that they've come here and put on the show that they've put on, Richard Cryle, who commentated for Network 10 over the weekend, he said he's a bit hesitant about Formula 3 coming back, but Formula 2 must come back. So that'll be a discussion that the FIA have later in the season when they're putting their calendars together for 2024.
On the flip side of that argument, though, knowing your target market, Australian open wheel racing isn't that crash hot.
True, exactly.
Where were the S5000s on the weekend? So
yeah,
maybe they could have had a run. So yeah, exactly.
Although in saying all of that, yeah, there was it's a win-lose situation, isn't it? Because obviously the card had been filled with Australian categories on the support bill forever. Now that we're bringing 2 other internationals out, there was only room for 2 Australian categories. Yeah. I mean, arguably it was always going to be Porsche and Supercars. But if Supercars opt out or opt to go back to the non-championship round, then maybe that opens the door for S5000, or it opens the door for TCR, or it opens the door for someone. Or maybe we stick with the open wheelers and we go back to having a round of the Australian Formula Ford Championship there, you know? I mean...
Celebrity race.
Just something. Yeah. I mean, anything's better than what we saw on Friday afternoon.
I think poor old Birchall's in trouble here. He's in the lane and there's still 24 minutes to go.
However, my real pet peeve with motorsport, there's 2 of them, Nick. We've gone away with adopting the old philosophy of, the days of Ivan Stibbard, where once you get past 75% race distance and the red flag is used, the race can or must be declared. We've gone away from that, and no greater sign of bringing it back, as far as I'm concerned, than yesterday's calamity at Albert Park, because it was a hold my beer moment. If you think Supercars was stupid, have a look at what Formula 1 can do. Sit everyone around for half an hour and then finish the race with the bloody parade club. I mean, stuffed me sideways. That was one of those moments that you just thought we've gone too far silly. It's not NASCAR. They don't do overtime. The race gets red flagged. It's a bit older lap. Just call it a day. Thanks for coming, linesmen, ball boys, etc. and so forth. Pack up and go home. That was just a big time waster as far as I was concerned. But the other thing I don't like, and this was highlighted as well by an old karting official friend of mine, Max Labour, and hello to him as well, one of the stalwarts of karting in this country. Whatever happened to Parc Fermé, where red flag race stop means you can't work on cars and everything like that? I mean, have we gone too far in the way of entertainment?
It's funny, Zach, that you mentioned another Karen. You mentioned those 2 points. We did have a chat off air, but you didn't mention those 2 points, and they're the 2 points I actually brought up with a lot of my friends yesterday.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton was going to lose out yesterday in that first red flag because everybody else, like Georgie Porgy, had pitted for tyres. But then the red flag got shown. Whatever happened to the virtual safety car, by the way? Or even what do they use at Le Mans? The Code 60.
Yeah. I'm going to come back to you, Nick. Foster, Holgerson, Knight, Barker, all in at the start of lap 38. So Foster needs to get 13 laps out of this stint. Well picked up, Grant Gill and Clint Collard. Knight, Holgerson, Barker all need to get a 13-lap run home. Mitchell, Unnett, Leach, Birchnell. Oh, actually, Birchnell pitted lap 37, so Birchnell's in tremendous trouble.
I think he's a dead duck.
He's in a fair bit of trouble because he stopped on lap 37.
He's only done 12 laps since the whole race. So.
But the top 7 should be okay.
Yeah, I think Birchnell's right. He's only done 12 the whole race, and he now needs at least probably a 14. So I think he may be in for a splasher.
Actually, Nick, my favourite comment of the entire weekend went the way of Melanie Bracewell from the Seats and Have You Been Paying Attention? And, of course, well known in New Zealand as well. But she shared a post earlier today that said she couldn't watch maths last night because she was at the Grand Prix. Fortunately, she still got a fix of endless red flags.
Did she mention Marin?
I think Arnott may have taken a tyre or two that last time by. Yeah.
See, look at that. Guy Leach, perfect pit lane entry there, used the whole road to slow it down, and
He's actually jumped Wayne. He's managed to jump Wayne in the process.
There we go.
Yeah, so Guy's going for some tyres. He's jacked up. The other guys are all flat on the deck.
Just to answer that question on the screen there, we'll
Go for it, mate.
find out if Guy Leach did go in too fast, if he gets held there.
Yeah.
But I don't think so. That was actually a really good entry, as you see. Bench leaving.
Hang on. 19, he's out. He's okay. That's
Yeah,
all right.
he only took one or two tyres. He was only on the jacks very shortly, so he's only taken like one side or one tyre just to get that, whichever one was struggling. The only thing he's going to be careful of here is the balance of the car while the tyres come back up.
Here comes
When we get back to the line, I'm going to crunch some numbers with regards to time left on the clock and laps remaining. But I think we're going to be... Oh, hang on.
If you pitted this late, it's time to race.
Yeah. So we're under... We're 19 and a half minutes to go. I will crunch some numbers when we... So the only predetermining factor with regards to how far we were going to get a lap counter was always going to be how long the pit stops were. So we'll wait and see as we get back to the line.
We can see
I still think we're on for that 51 target. And it'll be 11 to go at the line if I've got my numbers right.
Mitchum's taken 2 seconds out of Matthew Dench in that season. He's a little closer. Wayne Hewitt's still 2 seconds back, and then he's got two other cars right on his tail.
Just have a look. Matthew Dench, can we keep an eye on him when he gets to the line, please, Adam Lavis? Because he's going to be the one that drags this field potentially to an extra lap. Let's have a look at this. So 17 and a half would be 10 laps. We're at 18 and a quarter. So by my numbers, we're 11 from home. By my numbers, we're 11 from home with a smidgen of overtime attached to it. So that is 51. There's your bingo card. I'm slightly happy with that. So that means that all eyes at the moment in this stint are on Foster and Birchnell and Holgerson and Knight.
Yeah, I think yes. The guys we saw doing that on the last lap, they should be right because they can do a 12-lap stint and get home and should be fine. Foster has to keep that same that little bit of saving just to creep that 13th lap. Birchnell. I think he might be seeing the fuel man that paying a toll. So
yep. And not for the first time. Oh, Brett Barker's off the road. Brett Barker's off the road at 1. He's got back on.
Rear locked.
The rear's gone.
Mistakes are happening.
Yep,
Cars getting tired, brains are getting tired.
Exactly. Fatigue's kicking in, not just in central commentary either. Round they come onto the onto the back straight this time. Dench, Mitchum, Hewitt, Clancy, Leach, Foster, Birchnell, Arnott, Holgerson and Knight, the top 10. Winners and losers tonight. Grant Arnott up 5 spots. So I don't think there's any to be entered into there with regards to who's gained and who's lost tonight. I think it's Arnott's for the taking unless he slips up somewhere along the way. And no one in double digits with regards to that. It's all single digit stuff. 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 5, 2, 3, 1, 1, 1, 2, 6 and 1. Collins and Green forget about it. Oliver forget about it. They're all gone. Dench leads by 2.5 seconds to Mitchum. Dench is on the run home with 10 laps to go. Dench leads by 2.5. Then it's 2.5 from Mitchum back to Hewitt. Hewitt's still got Clancy and Leach for company. Everything beyond that is just a processional training run for those guys, just going through the motions to get to the finish line. And sorry, I finally bloody nailed the phrase that I was looking for earlier. Going through the motions. That would have been what Collins and Green were doing if they got back out there. I couldn't nail the point earlier. Talk about fatigue.
So it looks like Denchy's still just cruising. He did a high 44. This group here are all doing low 44. So still that 44 marker is the thing that most of the field are doing. There's a couple of, I think Jared is still 70 the field, he did 45. But yeah, so it looks like I'm wondering if Wayne's realised it's good fuel and pulled the trigger here, and how much clearance he can do to keep up with it.
Well, for a change for Clancy, Nick, sorry to jump in, for a change for Clancy, he's not the one dragging the train along.
Yeah, so maybe Clancy has deliberately fallen behind so he can save a bit of fuel. So yes, as Grant rightly points out, fatigue and tyres starting to get a bit tired towards the end of this race. It has cooled down as well, so the balance of the cars will shift. But also, fair old slog if you're just used to sprint racing. I was going to say winners and losers of the weekend, V8 Supercars and the fans, but winners being anybody who sat up and watched IndyCar racing last night or this morning.
That's it. Mate, do yourself a favour. I mean, oval racing isn't always my cup of tea, but when they go to Texas, IndyCar always put on a show. So go and do yourself a favour, catch the highlights on 9 Go this week, or if you've got Standard Sport, go and watch the full thing. It's fantastic. So 3 retirements thus far, 14 still running. John Wright out of business because of that stop and hold earlier. I believe it was it Nick Wood that suffered a similar fate?
Yeah, Nick lost in the bus stop, and Dave was collected in the aftermath.
That's right. And there was someone else that got a stop and hold penalty there as well.
John A. Wright and Russ Green.
Russ Green, that's right, yeah. So Green took himself out, and John Wright's, just lagging at the tail, bringing up the tail of the field of those still running at the moment. But important to note, all cars still on the lead lap.
It's one of those things. It'd be nice if iRacing gave us admins the ability to adjust some of the default penalties, because the 40-second stop and hold for the speeding in pit lane.
Crucifies you.
It's a bit much. I understand for the officials, it stops the people cheating a little bit, but in league racing, we should be able to set our own rules a bit more.
Especially in a situation like this, and I'll get both your thoughts on this, especially in a situation like this where if you pay that invoice, there's no coming back from it, because there's no real discrepancy in the strategy play. There is no wriggle room there's no differentiating between 3 stops for anyone. It's not like someone's doing one less pit stop a la Shane Wallace, Matty Dexter, caper. If anything, there's going to be people doing a 4th stop to get a lap of fuel. So there's a few people paying an invoice tonight. I agree that there should be penalties for speeding in pit lane. That's just a token regulation motorsport safety thing. But the depth of that penalty is the problem.
I think, if it was 10 or 15 seconds, that'd be fine.
Yeah, well, if it was just a straight drive-through.
Extra drive-through, that could also work. It also is it depends on each track too. Some tracks have a 20-second or a sub 20-second pit drive-through. Other tracks have a 35-second transit. So it depends which track you're at.
He's still looking a bit closer now. I actually think Clancy deliberately fell back so he can save some fuel. Now he's got the pressure on.
Yeah, that's it.
The gap between Dench and Mitchum has closed a little bit, but it's still hovering around 2.9 seconds.
That was out a bit longer, like closer to 10 seconds earlier on. So Denchy's falling back to these guys a lot. He's doing a similar pace. Similar to that by 44 threes and 44 fours and last time by. So pace-wise, it's sort of tightened up a little bit.
Sorry, Nick, before I rudely interrupted you, you were saying that you were making those points to people about Formula One and 75% race distance, etc. and so forth, so I'll let you go back to that.
Well, I mean, what happened on the weekend really shouldn't have happened, but whatever.
Someone should get the sack for that.
Michael Massey. But yes, I think supercars need to get a grip. Just not go to Melbourne.
Actually, I'm gonna back Michael Massey here. His moment was nowhere near as bad as that. Nowhere near as comical or farcical, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, there was talk in the commentary on there were people lining up to get onto the track because they thought it wasn't going to go back to
Well, that's right.
to race conditions again. So
And if you listen to David Croft's commentary over on Fox, he said that would surely be it as well. When the race was red flagged on 57.
let's just say we're happy it wasn't Monza because they probably would have invaded the track well before the restart. So
absolutely. Only because Ferrari weren't on the top step of the podium. Dench, Mitchum, Hewitt, Clancy, Leach. Ben Foster's 1.8 back.
And
So,
from personal perspective, this is the last thing I'll say on it is this has been the first year after watching. Jeez, when can I think of watching it? I think of parts of 1986 watching that. From 1986 to now, this is the first year I wasn't excited about anything about the weekend, especially with the farcical stuff that was happening in V8 land.
100%. Now, just quickly going back, yes, there's a car race on here, folks, albeit in the virtual world, but it's still important to us. So we'll cover this off for a moment.
Maybe we should do a
podcast. Thomas Foster, we're keeping our eyes on him. But the point that I wanted to make with that is now that he is literally just trying to get the thing without paying an extra invoice, that will just about assure Ash Collins that despite the fact that it didn't go his way tonight, of third in the championship. So it'll be by the skin of his teeth, but he will get third in the championship.
Yeah, pretty sure 6 to go this time by.
6 to go, agreed. Yep, 6 to go this time by. We should be just under 10 and a half minutes on the clock, just under 10 minutes on the clock. So that's 6 laps for mine because, as I said, it's 3.5 minutes for 2 laps, which makes 7 minutes for 4 laps, 10.5 for 6. We're just under that 10.5 threshold, so the white flag will wave somewhere between a minute and a minute quarter to go.
I think it's going to be pretty much right on half a lap is when the time's going to run out.
Yeah, exactly. So just the smidgen of overtime tonight, which will make Nick Fodiatis happy because he's ducking off straight after the race, so every second is precious. Lap 46 of 51. Nick, from a carbon committee standpoint, highlights of the season from you before we let you go straight after the checkered flag.
I mean, as always, the Monday night is super strong, especially with the GT3s having up to 3 splits. That is possibly the best thing we have on offer. The GT racing that we do provide, I think is second to none. Yeah, this one's looking a little bit thin on the ground, but for the most part, everybody who's in every split has a grand old time. So, and that's including GT4 as well. And it's only going strength to strength. Another positive is, getting some of these new, what's the word I'm looking for? Partnerships on board as well.
Yeah, 100%. We're excited about that.
But we've got some new partnerships, and that's what I like to refer them as. They are a partner. It's not a sponsorship per se, it's a partnership. And, we just constantly still getting people asking to join the club. So, all full steam ahead there. New people, new faces, all sorts of things. So it's constantly growing. We've got it to a point where it's almost self-sustaining, and it's only for a small price. It's not even a full season of iRacing. So just a little bit extra, and you're getting great value for money. Another positive is Adam's production's always up to scratch there.
Yes.
Always broadcast quality for a one-man band.
Absolutely it is. And he was literally a one-man band earlier in the evening when my internet dropped out.
And then I guess finally, I mean, from the iRacing perspective, there's always new content. So we're always going to have something spice it up. So
reinvent the wheel. Yeah.
Formula Fords, as much as you love your Vs, Formula Fords are always like them. And 35 of those things screaming around back in the 90s, depending on when you watched it. But yeah, that's going to be some good fun coming into the new season.
100%. Not to mention the couple of new tracks that are on their way. I know they dropped Jerez during this season, so that'll probably pop up on a couple of nights throughout the course of next season as well. The committee behind the scenes frantically putting the new schedule together, but they'll dot the I's and cross the T's across the course of the next 2 weeks so that we can hit the ground running for 10 weeks again from April 17 rather through to the back end of June. Lap 48, and have a look at this now! Now the trigger is pulled. Clancy trying to dive down on the inside of Hewitt, can't get it done. Leach was having a look as well. A three-way fight for third on the rostrum here. The final spot on the podium on the line across the final 4 laps here at the Daytona International Speedway. Lap 47 has come and gone. We're on 48 of 51. We're on the run home.
And looks like Dench has pulled the trigger. He's got his gap back out to 4 seconds now.
Yep, and Richard's got a comfortable 2.5 buffer to play with there as well. Foster's dropped out 3 seconds to the negative on Guy Leach, but he's got 7.5 on Glenn Ardett, so if he can get home on fuel, he'll be okay. Birchnell we're worried about, Holgerson we're worried about, Knight we're worried about. But Knight and Holgerson are actually engaged in duel at the moment for 9th place on the racetrack. We've got right on board with Shane Clancy in the Audi. We knew it'd get to a point where we could stop just having a general yarn amongst mates and a banter with everybody tuning in and actually commentate some racing. Reese is right now. Rightio. Glancing through the bus stop. These guys, every braking point, every marker needs to be hit because one slip up is going to cost them 1, maybe 2 spots on the racetrack. What a season it's been. And the final spot on the podium that looks as though it's going to go down through the wire in the final night of school return. Go! The outside goes Clancy. For third in the motor race. Got him down the inside Hewitt. He yields. Clancy's got it wide. Clancy's got it wide. Go Leach is going to have a stick here as well. Leach is going to fourth. Can Clancy fight back down the inside to the horseshoe? No! Leach moves across to cover it off. Oh, beautifully done. Wayne Hewitt finds his way to third and survives extraordinary pressure from Shane Clancy. And Clancy has all the work to do with 3 laps to go because now instead of just having to battle and engage with Hewitt and find a way by him, he's now got to get back by Guy Leach as well.
It almost got it done, and then it's just gone backwards. One step forward, 2 steps back.
Bit of a battle there for Leach as well. So now he might come under pressure from Clancy at the end of the back straight. And watch Leach if he can stay within the train, within the toe of Hewitt, because he'll have a chance to send to turn 1 as well, as Clint has pointed out there. Well, 3 minutes to go. 2 laps to go at the line.
He'll be loving this if these two start battling and he gives it a little bit of a gap on him. He can just break that toe. Looks like they call back up to him again. So unfortunately, just couldn't quite break it. So now it's back on again.
Oh boy, Dench, Mitchum, Hewitt, Leach and Clancy, the top 5. We're not worried about the first 2. Third is still the unknown entity here. Beyond that, Arnott and Birchnell still engaged in duel. So too Barker and Wood. So too Holgerson and Knight to a lesser extent because Knight's now beyond a second behind Holgerson. Have a look at Guy Leach looking to send it at 1. Leach to the outside. He's just been sitting there patiently waiting for his moment, biding his time, as we said. Get through that second, third round of pit stops, then pull the trigger and hit the gas and get going. 2 laps to go.
Adam, you could probably answer this. Does the Ferrari have a fuel mixture switch or knob?
Yeah, it does. I think it's only got 3 settings. So it's only got like a... it's Mercedes. It's got like... Yeah, the Ferrari's got like 12 or 13 options.
I was going to say, yeah, I thought so. So maybe Guy's been savvy and now he's pulled out all the stops on the cool drive Ferrari.
Well, I was going to say it earlier, like even though these guys can't clutch anymore, they can, when they're in the tow, just go a few clicks back on that fuel mix and lift the coast and just creep out that fuel that much.
Wayne Hewitt has already withstood 1 challenge, boys. Does he have to fend off another one? We'll wait and see. 1.5 laps to go. And this is John Wright. He's not just going from bad to worse.
Tyres get a little greasy now.
Best delivery of the night, but unfortunately the last one home.
Here comes Guy.
Matty Dench to the white flag this time by, boys. White flag is out this time by. We get to 51. The prediction was right. Good to see the maths are sharp at this time of the year.
Unfortunately, I think Birch...
And the clock's actually right as well, so that's a double whammy. It's a double bonus. Across the line, white flag in the air. One to go at Daytona. Can Leach send it on Hewitt? He's within striking distance. He's close enough. He's right there. Hewitt to defend it. Turn one. Leach to send it to the inside. Hewitt moves across to cover it up. Good defensive work from Wayne Hewitt, but the job's not done. And I think they've left Clancy behind now. This is a two-horse fight. It's Hewitt and Leach for the final spot on the podium. No one here can afford to cough or splutter.
Or is it Richard that's just up the front here, so he's not that far in front?
Glenn Arnott up 6 spots now because he's got by Daniel Birchnell.
Just a little tip for tack. Fastest lap wise, there's 3 guys that are within 4 100ths of a second.
Wayne Hewitt has that at the moment. 144.01, 144.04 for Leach, 144.05 for Dench. We will get back to Dench in a moment because he is going to write another extraordinary piece of GSRC history in half a lap's time. Waste Options GT3, final spot on the podium still up for grabs. What can Guy Leach do in the pursuit of Wayne Hewitt here? Back straight for the last time. Let's come back to them. Let's go back to Matty Dench if we can, because we need to acknowledge what... Oh, hang on. Actually, we need to acknowledge Dench. But
Guy Leach in the wall.
The pressure was too much. Clancy will move through to 4th. Leach will settle for 5th. But Matty Dench is a 5-time GT3 Series champion. And he does it in an emphatic style at Daytona. And the race on the final lap as well. Just to put the exclamation mark on sheer dominance. 5 seasons on the trot.
So Birchall's out of fuel. Arnott's giving it a push home. Now Holgerson's going to take advantage.
Yeah, Holgerson's just going to say, thanks for coming, boys. I'm going to take both of you and take 7th away. And Arnott's going to...
He's going to sing his team
as well. Yeah, very nicely done. So Arnott ended up losing in all of that because he would have had a gain of 7 spots. It becomes 5 because he loses out to Foster and also to Holgerson. So Foster got home for 6th. Holgerson, Arnott, Birchnell and Knight in for 10th. And I agree with Grant. Time to put Denchi in the Ford GT and see if he can win with that as well. 143.88, the fastest number of the night on the last lap. Lap 51. Matty Dench, a 5-time GT3 Series champion in the Waste Options GT3 Pro Series here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. And Alan Holgerson, lucky 7 in the end. Biggest gain of the night was Glenn Arnott up 5. Biggest loser of the night was Ash Collins down 6. And only Denchi and Richard Mitchum remained 1 and 2 where they started. It's Dench from Mitchum and Collins, we believe, as far as the championship is concerned. Matty Dench, just too good yet again. 5 on the trot, uncharted territory. And he's done the elusive Monday Night Motorsport double of being the GT4 champion and the GT3 champion in the same season. And I don't think, if my maths and homework serve me well and correctly, I don't think that's ever been done before either. He is a cut above the rest, Nick Fodiatis. We can only stand here, tip our hat and applaud him.
Yeah, look, he's put on a clinic yet again, and what can you do?
Not a bloody thing. Not a bloody thing.
Just got to keep trying.
Look at the celebration.
One day he might have a bad race, but in the time that he's been here, I haven't seen one yet.
Oh, we've seen a couple. We've seen a couple of bad races, usually back to back on a sprint night, and that's the only Achilles heel for this guy. In all the seasons we've seen him in racing, in our platforms, in our servers. It's been sprint races that have brought him undone, and again, that was where he tripped over during the course of this season. whole night we were in the 44s, 45s, and then he punches out a 43.88 on the last lap. Just extraordinary. The man's a freak. Unbelievable. Hey, Nick, we're going to let you go, mate. We know you've got an early start. I do too. It's a 2 a.m. alarm for me. I know it's probably not much later than that for you, but thank you very much for once again delivering your insights and expert analysis and opinions throughout the course of the season. We always appreciate that. We're looking forward to seeing you go around again in GT4 next season. We'll enjoy having you in the commentary box again in GT3. Can you believe 12 seasons of this have come and gone? And I think it's sometime in the next week or so that marks 3 years for me with the GSRC, and obviously the foundations of the club lay within COVID pandemic lockdown number 1 all those years ago. The club has come a long way. It goes from strength to strength, season on season, but it remains an integral part of our lives. It just proves that even though there was a lot of rubbish that came from COVID, this is the one good thing that did.
Yeah, well, yeah, consistency pays, and we've been here week in and week out, and we're chipping away. And yeah, look, people are still wanting to join the club, so onward and upward.
Very nicely done indeed, mate. Appreciate that. Apart from Matty Dench, who was the driver and I, in your opinion, because, I mean, at one point in time, it becomes a little bit too repetitive and too predictable if we keep just giving it to Denchy?
Well, I mean, as much as the getting off the final time through the bus stop came undone. I mean, Guy Leach, up to that point,
yep,
had done a brilliant race. Saving fuel, sitting behind the guys that he knows he was racing against. Fantastic pit lane entry on the last stop, and then straight into the Cobra strike at the end there. I'm just unfortunate that like I always say, that the tyres are a little bit tired, and got a little bit crossed up coming out and made the wall. So you got to give it to him for actually having a great go, but also being really patient in how his approach, which I can't help but appreciate.
Exactly right. No, that was a cracking battle, and again, it's so unfortunate for Guy Leach that it ended the way that it did. I mean, he still got home in 5th, and that should be applauded and commended, no doubt about that. But it just goes to show that even in those pressure cooker moments, even the best, after running faultlessly all night, can trip up, can bring themselves undone. It's a game of inches and centimetres. We've said it all the time. It's unfortunate, but hey, at least it wasn't terminal. At least he was able to get it to the checkered flag.
Yeah, exactly right.
Nick, from all of us to you, a happy Easter.
Yes, happy Easter, and then we reconvene in a fortnight.
Straight after the Grand Prix of Long Beach, yeah. Looking forward to that as well.
Good
on you, mate.
Very good. Have a good night, guys.
We will indeed. It'll be a quick one because we need to be out of here ASAP, so that I've got a small smidgen of hope of getting some sleep tonight before the trip south tomorrow. Denchy, going to get to you in a moment. Thomas Foster, going to get to you in a moment. Kevin Henderson, it's somewhat important that we bring you in at this point in time. Say good evening. Welcome, because you've been keeping your eyes on the Pro-Am and Am splits tonight, mate. How did it all play out?
Yeah, it was a pretty good night tonight. Just in the results stage, we had Ian Stahl-Hansen on the top step of the podium with David Johnson in second and David Riddell in third. There was a pretty hectic night. There was a lot of boys making a lot of mistakes and a lot of incidents, but apart from that, it was a pretty good night, very entertaining.
The interesting thing I'm looking at this results page here is the lap times are the same as the pro
guys.
guys.
Yes. There you go. And that is uncharted territory, really, because there's always been a little buffer, a little bit of point of separation, be it a few tenths, half a second, whatever the case may be, between the pro split and the pro-am split. So it just goes to show you the type of track that Daytona is, that a lot of these guys were on the money tonight time-wise. 144.1 for Ian Stahl-Hansen, his fastest lap of the race. 143.899 for Chu Kang, which is within an earshot, about 100th of a second away from what Denchy punched out. So well done to him. And it just goes to show the power of the slipstream, the power of the draft around Daytona would have helped that as well. What did we get to in the end, Hendo? Was it 51 laps? Yes, it was. So the same number of laps as the pro split as well. So 102 laps of racing around Daytona tonight across 3 hours. Good stuff. And caution-free too. So well done to everybody. They should be commended on that. Anything to delve into with regards to race control controversies, please?
No real controversies. Just a few minor incidents. People making the usual dives and not getting where they should be, and the odd not hold your brakes. But apart from that, no, it was a pretty good night.
Thank you very much to you then, Hendo. Stay there for me, mate. I'm going to come back to you in just a moment. Grant Gill, I'm going to accept that, but also acknowledge that there's a little bit of bias attached to that, because at the same point in time, you are part of the broadcast team and an integral part of it as well. So the last person that's going to say anything bad about it would be you, I would imagine. And thanks for tuning in and enjoying Monday Night Motorsport and Monday Night Bingo as well. Good on you. David Johnson's here, Kevin Henderson's here, Matty Denton, Thomas Foster as well. I'll get to David Johnson in just a few moments' time. But Hendo, you've obviously got your own racing endeavours to focus on a little bit later in the week, but how much have you enjoyed watching on from race control? Because the racing in Pro-Am and Am, when we've combined them, has been fantastic.
It certainly has. The big fields are a handful, but the boys, they really do try their best to keep it clean and tidy. And race well, as they're not out there for cheap stations, but they're doing the best they can with while keeping it pleasant and tidy.
Just a memo to Adam Lavis. When you get the points done, mate, give me a heads up. We'll go Am, Pro-Am, and then Pro. And the only reason I want to go in that order is because the Am fight coming in tonight was incredibly tight. The Pro-Am fight also tight. But we already know the foregone conclusion of Pro. So let's go with the most suspenseful first and then get to the foregone conclusion last. Hendo, what's next for you, mate? What's on the agenda for the rest of this week as far as racing's concerned, and how do you spend the week off?
Well, I've got the V's on Thursday. I'm not sure
there
about doing the 86s on Wednesday night. I race controlled them last week. I might do that again since I was at Oran Park, and it might be a little bit messy. But apart from that, not bad. I missed out on third spot in the V's. I had a shocker at Sandown, but then again, I always do.
I'm getting mixed vibes about this Toyota 86 series. Some weeks I'm getting the impression that the safest place to be is race control, but then I'm also getting the vibe that maybe going into race control in the Toyota 86s is flashbacks to the Mazdas, the MX-5s.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. I had a bit of help last week, which would certainly help.
Sounds like you needed it.
Yeah, I did. I wasn't too bad, to be honest. It's the nature of the track, and
I love it.
And it's pretty competitive bunch of guys there, and but more than nature track. Just getting back to tonight, I will say that the Am guys did really, really well. They were up in the top 10 there. There were some really good drives by some of the Am guys tonight.
And we noticed that last week as well. Like the Am guys punched well when they were thrown into a combined split. And that's been one of the trademarks, and I know Adam will agree with me, Nick's already gone, but he would too. That's been one of the testaments of the club over the last few years, the development of those drivers that aren't the Matty Denchers, aren't the Brenton Hobsons, the way in which they improve season on season. They might be an Am at the moment, but Pro-Am's only a heartbeat or two away. So your point is very valid. We noticed it last week at Spa. Good to see it carry over to Daytona as well. And it just goes to show how good that multi-class racing can be when you split Pro-Am and Am up, also put them in the same servo. So you give them their dues as an individual class, but you also say, right, we're going to throw you together just for some fun, and fun it has been.
Yeah, it certainly has been. I think they've probably appreciated that. They might have learned a bit, but it's always good to step up, and I'm sure the boys in Am appreciated racing with the Pro-Am guys. Look
at Grant Gill throwing in the expert comments at the end there. The separator is consistency. Absolutely it is, 100%. The key, the cornerstone to success is consistency. All those words fit the bill there. Hendo, have a safe and happy Easter, mate. Looking forward to having you back on deck week 1, term 2, night 1, April 17th.
Yeah, I'll be there with bells on. Guys, good night. Have a good one.
All the best, mate. All the very best. Thomas
Easter.
Foster. Yeah, absolutely. Happy Easter to you, mate. And the same goes to everyone right around Australia, right around the world. Whoever, or wherever you're tuning in, I should say. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Thomas Foster, to you. With the misfortune of Ash Collins, our numbers suggested that you needed third tonight to be the sting in the tail and snatch third away from winning the championship. It wasn't to be because there was a more telling factor playing out in the narrative of your night, and that was fuel burn, mates. How close were you to having to come in and pay an invoice and get a splash and dash there at the end?
No, I had the fuel. I did mix up the numbers a little bit there right at the end, but because all the boys pitted up early, I thought I did have my fuel numbers wrong, and so I started to save fuel in the last 3 or 4 laps. Once I lost the total, it was really hard to gain back. So yeah, a little misfortune, but I still made it there in the end. I didn't lose out too hard. I'm just hoping I haven't lost fourth. That's all.
We don't think so. We don't think so. We'll get confirmation for you in just a few moments, but we don't believe so. And although that being said, we will wait and see how the numbers play out. It is touch and go. I know it was between you and Wayne Hewitt, and Shane Clancy was charging home like a train, but obviously they engaged in duel there at the end, and Guy Leach threw his hat into the ring as well. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But we were more concerned about that battle for third than we were the battles beyond that, just because of the amount of points on offer being an enduro points night, and also the small size, the nature of the field. So what it lacked in quantity, it made up for in quality from first until last. At the end there, though, what was a train in 5 became a train of 3. You guys, unfortunately, you and I think it was Daniel Birchnell, dropped off that train late in the piece, mate. You just weren't able to cling on.
Yeah, no. When I came out of the pits, I was just a touch too far back, and I had to fuel save. I couldn't burn the fuel because otherwise it would have bit me in the end. As you said, I would have ran out of fuel to the line. So unfortunately, I couldn't keep on the back of that train, which really sucked. But hey, we made it to the end of the race. I didn't spin it, didn't lose it, and it's been a great season.
Indeed, it has been, mate, and you've been an integral part of it. It's been great to watch you play a part in this throughout the course of the season. But we were running through your results there earlier, and you've had a shocker of a run in some of these races. It's extraordinary that you've still been able to salvage a top 5 finish in all of this, mate. At the end of the day, it's been the better weeks that have allowed that to be the case and enabled that to come to fruition. But you'd be hoping for a better run and a better stroke of luck, I guess, next season in the hope of achieving something a little bit better.
Yeah, I got to work a lot on the sprint game. A lot of the longer races, I can stick my head down and really be consistent with it. But the sprint races are something I need to work on.
You're not the only one to say that, and I was only commenting on that with Nick Fodiatis before you guys jumped in here. The number one, and the man that has held it for more than anyone else, one M. Dench, can vouch for that as well, because it's often the sprints that are his Achilles heel too, and it's usually when we invert the field. Again, it just goes to show different horses for courses, and the way of mixing it up does bring some of you guys undone. That being said, what are you looking forward to most about the new season, mate? And we haven't released a calendar. We don't know a track schedule as yet. That'll become clear in the light of day over the next fortnight. But more than that, you've now got 2 weeks to either put the feet up and relax and take a step back, or to go testing some of these other GT3 cars to see what suits your fancy for potentially a 10-week campaign next season.
Yeah, I'm going to go give a couple of the other cars a go. I used the Audi when we did Sebring, the Sebring 12-hour. That was really good, but just towards the end of the stint, it got a little bit tailor-happy for me. I like consistency, I suppose, to a certain degree. The Beamer sort of suits the way I drive, so we'll see how it goes, but I think I'll probably end up sticking with the Beamer just for consistency.
All right, very nicely done. And I guess one of the other determining factors on that could end up being the circuit list, the calendar, where we're heading and what we're doing. And I know that was one of the determining factors in Dench selecting the Audi this season.
Yeah, I'm clearly not as far advanced as Denchi when it comes to selecting a car for a certain
Don't worry, no
track.
one is.
You're
not alone.
At the end of the day, I think my car choice is going to come down to what suits my driving style more than the track, just so that I can actually be consistent and try and get those points to make it through to the end of the season.
At the end of the day, there are those versatile guys that it doesn't matter what they drive, and that doesn't just include the category, but also the car within the category. But there are then those little elements and those competitors like yourself where there's got to be a degree of creature comfort to it.
Yeah, and I mean, you go through and look through the season, it didn't really suit one car. Each track wasn't clearly defined by one track. It was the driver that's really gotten the car to where it is, and a little bit of luck and a little bit of skill. So yeah, we'll just see what the next season brings. I'll be there. So
yeah, looking forward to it, mate, immensely. Hang tight. If I've got time here at the end, I'll come back to you. I just want to bring in Richard Mitchum at this point in time, because we don't get to talk to the Singapore slinger all that very often, and that's just one that I've just thrown out on the go, but I'm going to stick with it now. Richard, nice to have you on board, mate, from the Lion City, and well done on securing second in the championship with second tonight. It was always going to be hard. The only way we saw you potentially stealing that out from under Matty Dench was that if he somehow didn't turn up or had a network issue or didn't net a single point, and you hit every single box that had to be ticked: fastest lap, pole position, no incident points, and also win the bloody race. It was always going to be a case of a bridge too far in one respect, but when you're second to Dench, that's nothing to turn your nose up at.
Yeah, we can just put the plaque as best of the rest. I'll take that.
Yeah,
no, it feels good, right?
Look, to be perfectly honest to everyone tuning in at home, we laugh, but at the same time, he's just said what everyone else is thinking, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, no, I think I was at a pretty consistent season, right? I think it was one of those where I think if I turned up, it didn't really matter where I finished if I finished, because I think, like you said, I kind of did that same math and came to the same conclusion as you. I think Dench, unless I got pole, fastest lap, 0 incidents and won it, then and Dench didn't score a single point, I was second, and I think I only needed less than a handful of points to keep second over Collins as well. So yeah, it was one of those I could just kind of enjoy the race and not really think too much about the championship, to be honest with you.
And more so when Nash Collins dropped out of business, that also secured second for you as well, because that was still there for the taking if something had gone awry for you.
Yeah. But I think Ash needed to finish first or second, right? I think if he finished it anywhere behind second, then then I didn't even need to score a point. So I think by the time I qualified and Ash didn't quite have the qualifying he wanted, I imagine, then I think it was pretty much all over at that point, so I could just enjoy it. Just unfortunately lost Matt's toe at the end of the first stint. I'm guessing he outsmarted me a bit and short fueled a little bit because he jumped a few seconds in the pits, unless I just wasn't aggressive enough on my marks. And that was that with the rest of the race. I think my pace was decent, but yeah, like pretty happy with that. It was more a case of just managing the gap behind to make sure that I could fuel save enough, but not give the guys behind a sniff of the slipstream. So it was making sure it never came below 1.5 seconds was the challenge, basically.
I was trying for that.
Yeah, I think Shane had a couple of goes as well. I think that there was definitely periods where fuel saving went out the window for 2 or 3 laps just to keep the buffer. But yeah, I managed to just manage that, and then I think fuel the right amount for the final stint to where it was pretty much a cruise for that final stint. Well, I mean, it flat out because I didn't need to fuel save at all, but not having to push crazy hard.
2 things coming to mind here, boys, that I'm going to grab both Richard and Thomas's thoughts on before I bring Denchi even into the discussion, because we did see him take tyres. Did either of you take tyres at any point tonight?
Nope.
No, I didn't. I did think that was probably why I caught him a little bit on the lap out. We was chatting over Discord about whether Matt may have done 2 and 2, and or did you take 4 just before the final one? But no, I didn't take tyres either time. And actually, the car at the end probably felt the best, especially through the bus stop. But that's probably just the driver knowing 50 laps of the track rather than anything else.
Well, that's exactly right. You wore yourself into a rhythm tonight. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, your final stop was 1.17 seconds quicker than Danchi's as well. So there might have been a small invoice that he paid on tyres, but it didn't matter in the end because he ended up winning by 6.5 seconds almost. The other one as well, boys. We mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, the way in which iRacing have changed the game by taking away the ability to clutch. So fuel saving wasn't necessarily as big of a determining factor in proceedings tonight, and that was highlighted by the way in which it was either 3 13s and a 12, or a 12 and 3 13s, or somewhere in between that similar pattern. There was 1 12-lap stint and 3 13s that got you to 51. There was nowhere near as much discrepancy or room to, manoeuvre your strategy than what we've been accustomed to seeing in GT3 racing on our platforms for such a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I think fuel saving was definitely a part of the race, that's for sure. But I think without the clutch, I was never particularly good at using it. So, yeah, I think it's probably beneficial for me personally.
Thomas, what are your thoughts on the fuel save factors now?
It was something I never really picked up coming from R Factor so recently. So lifting was always part of R Factor, and I'm doing that a lot more regularly now because you have to. It's something I've learned this year, and I'm still trying to get the full grasp of how much you can do that to to the extent of what Denchi does, because clearly he does it a shit ton more than what I do. Use my P's and Q's.
No, it's all right. We're past that threshold well and truly, because now we're working with 3 time zones instead of 15. And there's another one for Grant Gill's bingo card if he's still tuning in. It's 10:47 in the east, it's 8:47 in the west, so we're well and truly clear to let the old SH1T slip occasionally if we have to. Very nicely done, boys. Stay there with me. Let's bring him in, ladies and gentlemen. GT4 champion for the first time, 5-time GT3 champion. He's in uncharted territory as far as we're concerned. He stands alone at the top of the summit of his achievements within this club, and there they are on the screen for you. They're going to need a little bit of a tweak and update at the end of tonight. Matty Dench, well done, mate. A masterclass from you. All we can do is applaud and tip our hat to you, because you came out tonight with a job to do. You got the job done in both. I want to start with GT4, because you started 7 races, you won 7. That is consistency unheard of in that category. And dominance, I might add, as well.
Yeah, the GT4 is pretty good. That Mercedes, just really consistent car. Just really gelled with it nicely, and it just shows.
Now, Interlagos, it was a cracker of a race. You didn't pull away from the train as much as we thought you would in the early stages there, but by the time you got through the second round of pit stops, you had the fields measured, you had it under control, you had it in the bag, and brought it home. Is there any entertaining thoughts of coming back to defend that crown now that you've got your hands on it?
No, I think GT4s will be one and done. We'll just
tick that box and move on.
Yeah, just go back to a single race per night again.
Just breaking news too in the world of I'm not gonna say sport. I'm gonna say entertainment. I'm hearing reports coming through tonight that if you're a fan of the WWE, they've sold to UFC's parent company Endeavour to create a $21 billion juggernaut. So if WWE is your thing, and I know WrestleMania was on over the weekend, we were all watching the Grand Prix and laughing at that farce. But if you're a WWE fan, yes, big news there with regards to the ownership of the company changing hands. It popped up as a news alert just on the screen here in Discord. So whilst we're going with you, Mr. Dench, I'm not even going to worry too much about GT4, quite frankly, because you ticked every box that you absolutely had to. You even gave the the competition a leg up by missing an extra round. You started 2 rounds late. You came in only having 8 to play with. You only played with 7, and that was enough in the end. 7 from 7 race wins. You took last week off, but still nabbed pole position just to take the extra couple of points. It was extraordinary, your dominance there. It'll go down in history as one of the more extraordinary performances we've ever seen in GT4. But you're also creating history as a 5-time GT3 champion, and it's the first time we've seen someone go and do the double on a Monday night, the entree and the main course. So you've ticked just about every bloody box left to tick in the club.
Yeah, I think we'll go back to that original plan of a different car every season, see how many we can rack up.
Well, on that note, actually, there's a petition being written up at the moment to stipulate that you need to spend the next 2 weeks getting acquainted with the Ford GT if you're going to come back and have a play in GT3 next season, just to see if the cars is to steal the word that Thomas Foster slipped out there a few moments ago, as shit as we all think it is, or whether or not it's just those that are driving it. So would you accept that challenge if it was offered to you?
I mean, I haven't tried that car in a long time, but I might have a little play around in it, see what it feels like. We'll have to wait.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Johnny Merritt did that a few seasons back, hey? and pedaled it pretty well. So I think it in the right hands. It's not. I think the BOP. I mean, I've only been doing iRacing for the last 3 years or so, but the BOP at the moment is the best I've ever seen it.
I also like that idea from Grant Gill as well. If he uses a different car each week and scores half points, he'd probably still win the bloody thing. It's just extraordinary the way in which this guy dominates on a Monday night. Denchi, talk to us about that race, though, because, again, you took the train along with you, Richard and a few others there in the first stint, and then a little bit of strategic gamesmanship on your part meant that you were able to break that toe after the first round of pit stops, and from there it was about maintaining the gap.
The guys had pretty good pace to keep up, and we just sort of fuel save a little bit just to go one extra lap. Otherwise, we're gonna have to go. If you run flat out, you got to go 4 stops. So we just tried to squeeze that extra lap every pit, and coming into pit lane, I always turn the pit limiter off and run just right up to the what iRacing claim as the limit. And if people have the pit limiter on, I think you just sort of sneak a second or two through pit lane.
I like it. There's always a trick to the trade that this guy's on top of. Denchi, talk to me about that that threshold as well, because again, taking clutching away means that we were looking at you as the benchmark as to where that threshold was with regards to how long these stints were going to be and therefore what the critical number was going to be. It became apparent very clear very early in the piece that it was going to be 13 max, and therefore 38, 39 was that critical number. No holds barred, no ifs, buts or maybes.
Yeah, there's not a huge amount you can do with the Audi other than just lift off the throttle early. Doesn't really have any extra fuel maps you can run like the Porsche or a couple of the other cars. So.
And answer the question that was posed earlier, please. What did we do with regards to tyres? Because we did see you on the jacks once or twice tonight.
Just the nature of the Audi, it's like when you're pushing towards the end, if it's going to be close, you've got to drive fast. The Audi can be pretty dangerous, and I just wanted to make sure the tyres were in a pretty healthy state. So at that second pit stop, I just took 4 tyres.
All right, very nicely done. Okay, so I'm getting to David Johnson in just a moment. There's a reason he's here. It's with regards to that Pro-Am and Am race that Kevin Henderson was talking about just a few moments ago. Last one to you guys, though, Foster, Mitchum and Dench. I'm going to start with you, Dench, as the 5-time champion. And I'm going to let you guys thank whoever you want to thank as well in just a moment. But, Dench, how do you spend the next 2 weeks now? Obviously, apart from giving the Ford GT a little bit of a test for us as well, just to see where that's at. How do you spend the next 2 weeks in terms of preparation for Term 2? And, of course, we won't know the extent of how much you're preparing for until we see that calendar drop.
I think it'll be very likely I'd drive the Lamborghini, but we'll have a little play around with the Ford and see what it feels like. But I think it's pretty far down the list at the moment.
Yeah, exactly right. Any concern over any tracks that you would not like to see next season, because the calendar hasn't been finalised yet, but we know there's new content. We know that there are some different tracks definitely on the way with regards to the next calendar.
Yeah, I think if I want to drive the Lambo, there's probably a few tracks that I probably won't want to see on there.
You feel free to rattle them off.
No, I'll keep that one to myself.
Of course. All right, okay. In that case, then we might insist that he changes his number from 1 to 007 if he's going to be that cryptic for next season. Look at me pulling out the best Melbourne Comedy Festival working on Monday night. No, Denchi, while we've got you though, obviously, is there any time off over Easter, or have you got other official races that you're going to be sinking your teeth into?
Yeah, I think there's a few things on the weekend, so yeah, we'll be busy, I'm pretty sure.
All right, very nicely done. And what else are you going to dabble in as far as the club racing is concerned in Term 2? Have you made your mind up on that yet?
If they keep the Porsche Cup car going, we'll keep going with that. It's always fun to drive.
All right, very nicely done. How do you sit there at the moment, please? Are you leading the thing?
Yeah, I think I can have this week off and still.
All right.
So.
Okay, so we're just going to change that from 4 to 5 on both GT3 Pro and Porsche Elite Cup. It's extraordinary the dominant form you're in at the moment. You are in a golden patch. There's no doubt about that. But now it's not just GT3, GTE, but also GT4. So you've swept the pool as far as GT car racing is concerned on these platforms. And that's a nice feather in the bow.
Yeah, that's more or less all the cars that I kind of enjoy driving. It's like the other ones that you just run through the week. I just not really keen on them. So.
Oh, mate, fantastic stuff. All right, thank whoever you want to thank, mate, and then we'll go around the room and let Richard and Thomas do the same.
I will just thank everyone in the club for putting on a great show, and the broadcast team for putting it all together.
Mate, well done. Happy Easter. Congratulations on the great success that you've enjoyed on a Monday night throughout the course of the season. Thank you very much for keeping us entertained. Looking forward to seeing more of the same when we return in 2 weeks' time. And I say that knowing that I've been pleading for a little bit more of a competition. But again, as Richard says, being best of the rest isn't necessarily a bad thing when you're at the top of the summit. But by gee, I can't wait for the season where Dench says, you know what, I'm going to park up and let you guys fight for top spot for a change. How fiercely the gloves will be off in the battle for what will end up being the top of the summit in the absence of the incumbent number one in Matty Dench. Mate, have a great fortnight. We'll see you on April 17th.
Yeah, we'll catch everyone later.
All right.
Yeah, congrats, Matt.
Thanks.
Richard Mitchum, I mean, obviously, we know your preferences with regards to circuits, so if there's a European heavy calendar, you're going to be a happy boy next time round. But what are you thinking with regards to the new season before we let you thank some people?
Yeah, I just kind of won't do any testing until we see the tracks, and then I think, for me, probably sits between the Porsche and the BMW, depending on the tracks, to be honest with you. I'm not sure I'm going to dabble in too much else. I think my GT3 running's pretty much down to Monday nights. I'm not doing a huge amount during the week apart from that, so I think it'll be a relatively easy decision between the two of those.
And I was going to say the Porsche certainly has served you well throughout the course of this season. Any any continent hopping, any travel getting in the way of you in a full campaign next season? Do we know that yet?
Yeah, I think I got one, maybe 2 weekends away. But yeah, it's been good to have pretty much a full calendar this season. So it's yeah, that's been super handy. But yeah, I think 1 or 2 weekends away. But I think I should be able to get kind of eight scoring rounds.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. And that in itself is a point, because wherever there's that freedom, that fallback of being able to drop 2 rounds, that keeps you in play. However, it makes all 8 rounds so vitally important and crucial to cementing some sort of result here, because if you don't hit one of those, if you don't tick one of those boxes, it all falls to custard.
Yeah, I think outright pace is not my thing, right? Especially when it comes up against some of the super quick guys. So I'm normally there or thereabouts, but try and keep it safe, race smart, and bag the points. That seems to be my strength versus some of the other guys here. So yeah, I mean, I think keep doing what I'm doing on that part.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. Hey, great to catch up with you. Great to have you in the booth for a post-race chat. It's been far too long between drinks on that front. Looking forward to catching up with you next season. Have a safe and happy Easter.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, Zach, everyone else, Adam, putting on the season, and everyone else in the club, and all the Twitchy Foot guys who keep the chat entertaining during the races, especially when that one there, I was kind of in no man's land for about an hour and 15 minutes of it. Yeah, that's all from me. We'll catch you next season.
Well, that's actually a point. Grant Gill was observing that there were a couple of moments in that race where that gap between you and that chasing pack was just ever so slightly swaying, ebbing and flowing, either in your favour or against you. But you did what you needed to do to keep them at bay. It wasn't necessarily a case of anything going wrong for you. It was just that you were in no man's land. You had no one to play with. The pressure wasn't on.
Yeah, it was exactly that, right? I think it was banking the fuel saving when I needed to so I had that bit of buffer so I could push for a few laps and keep people at bay. So it was, just managing the gap. But to everyone else, because I just knew, even though some of the stints I could match Denchi with a pace, but I think he was probably doing the same to me as well, to be honest with you. I'm sure he always has a couple of tenths in his back pocket when he needs them. But fair play, he's the bar that we need to get to, and it's good to have him here, even though we're not picking up the silverware. At least we know where we're, or the best silverware, we know where we need to be getting to, and it keeps pushing you on. So it's good where if you can hold him to double-digit seconds after the end of a race, or give him a fair fight, then you know you're on it for that week.
Exactly right, mate. Hey, well done again. Thank you very much for stopping by post-race, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
All right, from Richard Mitchum to Thomas Foster. I think I've asked you everything that I need to ask you, mate, but let's hear some thank yous from you.
Big thanks to all the GRC, the admins and all that sort of thing, and all the sponsors that made all this happen. Waste Options mainly, Blackout Electrical, Flash Graphics, and all that sort of thing. It's we need them to be able to have this. So, apart from that, thank you, Zach. You're here every time.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it, mate. Appreciate it.
It is a dead set pleasure to be here on a Monday night, and we've been saying that for a long time now. I think out of the 12 seasons, we've had 11 Monday night feature broadcasts, and every one of them delivers something different. So, great to have you on board in the club, mate. Continue coming back. Look forward to seeing what you bring to the table next season. Have a happy Easter.
And to you, mate. Happy Easter. Happy all at GSRT too.
Mate, I'm going to have the happiest Easter I've had in 5 years. You know why? I'm spending it in paradise. The best 6.213 kilometres of motor racing, real estate and bitumen anywhere in the world. Mount Panorama this weekend. Can hardly wait.
Oh, lucky.
The drive begins tomorrow. I've never done the drive to Bathurst, so it's always been flights or trains or something like that. So it is going to be a real treat in every sense of the word, and I make no apologies. If you're a friend of mine on Facebook, I make no apologies for the incoming spam from Mount Panorama this week. And hopefully catching up with the great man from West Orange Motors, Dave May, while I'm down there as well. Thanks, Tom. All the best, mate.
Cheers, mate. Catch up.
David Johnson, to you. Thanks for stopping on by second week in a row for a chat. I don't ever recall a time in which you've popped up twice on the same night of the week in succession. But great to have you here, mate, because I want to get your account of the night that was, and a cracking finale in the Waste Options GT3 Pro-Am Championship in a fight that was between you and Alan Dawson and also Jordan Aitchison as well for the title.
Yeah, I probably should show up more often now, otherwise I'll get a reputation for only showing up when it goes well. But no, that was one. Where if you had live points on the screen, turns out had Dave Riddell not run out of fuel with about 100 metres to go, he beats me. I thought I was going to end up on points, but ahead of Alan. But he had a 0x I didn't know about. So, yeah, many thanks to Dave Riddell for running out of fuel, because otherwise it all went a bit pear-shaped and Alan would have actually had it.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think you've just let the cat out of the bag there, so stand by. There are the results, ladies and gentlemen. They are finalised. They are official. There is the GT3 AM Series final points table. It's an Audi victory there to Adam Chiplin, 499. Very comfortable in the end over Neil Gladwin, 411, and Ryan Wooden, 406. 405 for Adam Lee Holland. The battle for the minors. Look at that. Dane Snadden, unlucky. Lost 2 spots on the final night. Dropped out of the top 3. And only by 5 points. Jeez, you couldn't ask for more bad luck than that, could you? Jeez. Tristan Kosh in for 6th. Tim Watson 7th. Not the AFL player. We've already established that. Reece Dickerson in for 8th. Then, of course, Greg Padgett and Jonathan Hooper, the top 10. Now, it's important to note that it was marginal there. Coming into the final round, there were so many positional battles on the line that a very Audi-dominated heavy top 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Throw in a Porsche, throw in a Ferrari, throw in a Merc, throw in another Porsche and a BMW. 5 different manufacturers in the 5, but half of the in the top 10, but half of the top 10 were Audi. So Audi dominate in GT3 AM. To Pro-Am.
While we flick it over, just a quick call out to Adam Holland as well. Went 22nd to 7th in amongst the Pro-Am guys tonight to end up 1 point off the podium.
Now, there's some updates for you. 388 plays 380. Okay, so I haven't gotten. I need to refresh my Google Drive because it's just was showing something else there a few moments ago. It was showing 388 played 385, but it's 381. So 388 plays 381. So 7 points the winning margin for David Johnson in the end, ahead of Alan Dawson and Jaden Aitchison, and then Scott Wooden and Andrew Franklin. 77 points separated 1st and 5th. But it's a tie for 5th, and Franklin gets it on the count back over Ian Stahl Hansen. Then 299 for Dean Eldridge, Darren Johnston in for 8th in a tie with Dave Riddell, and 245 for Matt Schmidtke, just 2 points out of the top 10 for Stephen Gallacher. Jeez. What about that for just narrow, tight, intense competition and every position so crucial on the grand final night? I mean, how do you pick all that apart? 99, so that's 89 points from 1st back to 7th. Anyone in that top 7 was in contention tonight, and David Johnson gets himself to the top of the summit. BMW, Audi, Ferrari, Porsche, and also McLaren in the top 10. 3 Porsches, 3 Audis, 2 Ferraris, and a Lambo just outside. We nearly had 6 manufacturers in the top 10. Unbelievable. Just in terms of the variety and diversity in GT3 Pro-Am. But, David, congratulations to you, mate. What about that? Champion in Pro-Am.
Yeah, wrapped with that. That was a bit of humble bragging as well. It was a 7-week season, so I think it's time to head off to Pro. Yeah.
Yeah, I very much think so. That was my next question. When are you joining us on a broadcast night? There we go.
Well, I make a couple of statements that are very much non-committee endorsed, and we'll see what Adam makes on because he's the boss here. Depending on, as long as we can find a way no one misses out, I think we're shaping up pretty good for a 2-split Monday night, to be honest.
I agree completely.
It's hard because we don't want anyone to ever miss out. That's not what the club's about. You don't want to arrive home to a full server. So there's some stuff to work out.
At the same time, I understand exactly where you're coming from, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, because we're reaching that point where, again, we made the point earlier in the night. Life is getting busier. Life's getting back to normal. We're still accommodating and finding some time in our lives to go sim racing or broadcasting in Adam's and my case. But at the same time, the participation numbers aren't where they used to be because life is getting back to normal. It's still there. It's still very popular. The club's still got a hell of a lot of members on board. But the numbers aren't as big as they used to be in terms of bums in seats in sim rigs, be it on a Monday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night.
No, and definitely bums on seats super consistently as well. I mean, shout out to my mate Darren Johnson as well. I mean, he missed the last 2 weeks with some personal stuff going on, and you had a couple of good hauls for the longer races in there, and he's right up amongst the top 3 as well, and really deserved to be. So, yeah, it's a bit hit and miss with a few different people, but we'll, like I said, Adam's the boss here. He's got all the numbers, the formulas, and all the magic, and he'll steer us in the right direction. The other,
he's got more power and more say-so than he'll give himself credit for, our Adam Lavers.
100%.
And
then
that,
the last one I'll throw out again. Non-committee statement, personal opinion. If there's any any potential club sponsors out there that wanted to throw some money the GSRC's way, what I would love to see is somebody wanted to put a bit of money on the line for anyone who could come along and defeat Matt Dench on a Monday night in a GT3 championship.
I'm all for it.
I'd like to see some money on the line. I think we could get some bigger names back.
I don't like anyone's chances, but
I mean, Dench will hate it because there's not much in him for that. But yeah, there's a few names out there I'd like to see come and have a go at it, even if we end up with a bit of a sub split up the front. Let's see.
Well, I still think we put him in his own split. I mean, we have 2 splits in GT3 Pro, GT Elite and GT Pro. I think that's where we've got to now. I've been saying it for a couple of seasons.
Yeah, no, look, it seems like it, and exactly like you guys were talking about when I joined. I mean, I'm getting grief week by week from the HTS guys now because we're comparing lap times, and they're convinced that there was money exchanged for us for a few of us to be in Pro-Am this season at all. So yeah, we'll see about next season. It should be good fun. I've got to try and to be honest, anytime I've run pro, it's usually been have fun down the back, try and get a couple of spots, and don't crash into anyone. Exactly. We'll see if we can do a bit more than that next season.
I'm pretty sure you'll be in pro. Just a really quick look. Your season average is a 1.3 off the pace. So I had the cutoff at 1.5, I think it was. So you're in there. So you're in at this stage. You'll be in the pro side of the fence.
Shout out to Mr. Clint Collard, who's been watching every decimal place of that number and reminding me weekly of what was about to come. So yep, absolutely.
Clint threw a couple of good little jabs your way last week when we were showcasing Pro M&M. It was good fun too. The safety car, I think he called you at one point, didn't he? There's the final point standings in GT3 Pro with thanks to Waste Options. Denchi too good to the tune of 114 points over Richard Mitchum, who was a very comfortable second in the end. Thomas Foster, gallant in defeat, but narrowly falling short of third. 333 to 320. Ash Collins over Thomas Foster. 3 different manufacturers in the top 3, 4 in the top 5. 5 in the top 10. No other manufacturers in there. It was Audi, Porsche, BMW, Lamborghini and Ferrari. 3 Ferraris, 2 Audis, 3 Bimmers, and just the single entity for both Lambo and Porsche. But well done to Wayne Hewitt getting the Lambo up there into the top 5 on the final night of school. 8 points shy of Thomas Foster, 5 points clear of Daniel Birchnell, so that was costly in the end for him, dropping back to 9th, and that was all with the finish line in view, as we saw on screen there. He got stitched up royally, but it was always making a rod for his own back for a 14-lap stint. Guy Leach, 296, 282 for Shane Clancy, and level with Nick Wood. And then, of course, Brett Barker brought up the top 10 on 272. There we go, done and dusted for another season. Teams Championship, Twitchy Foots 1, 2, and then also a Brum Racing 3rd, and 3 different splits there. So you got a Pro, you got a Pro-Am and an Am all in that, so that's really good. And PGZ Motorsport 4th, Denchi with not too much assistance from Simon Nicholson this season. And then Twitchy Foot. Look at the amount of bloody Twitchy Foot teams. Have a look at that. 6 of them, and they're in the top 11. Magnificent stuff. 2 HTS teams there as well. Didn't get a chance to ask. David Johnson's just let himself out, and he hasn't been dismissed yet, but that's okay. He's let himself out the door. It's probably gone just a little bit past his bedtime. In fact, we were hoping to be off air by this point, but I didn't get a chance to ask him what he's planning for next season with regards to pro, car selection, that sort of stuff. But we'll have that conversation next season first up, because we are well and truly out of time. So well done to the team's champions from Twitchy Foot, and well done to the drivers' champions as well. Audi winning 2 splits, BMW 1, and of course the Mercedes winning GT4 in the form of Matty Dench. Big thanks to these people. Waste Options for their support of Monday Night Motorsport across both GT4 and GT3 this season, and also the other supporting sponsors of the GSRC in Season 12, Term 1 of 2023. Blackout Electrical Solutions. Login Systems, West Orange Motors, Astute, of course, Finance, Insurance and Wealth in East Brisbane, Ben Fisher and Door Lawyers, and, of course, our great friend John Simpson from Flash Graphics. Personally, before we wrap up and show you what's to come, a big thank you to everyone that's played a part in making this happen throughout the course of the season. Not just the sponsors there, but the committee behind the scenes. They work tirelessly. It's a thankless job at times. To all our crew in race control who give up their time on a Monday night to ensure that the racing is adjudicated hard and fair. To Adam Lavis and Grant Gill, who have steered the ship with the broadcast throughout the course of the season. Adam, of course, the mainstay. Grant, of course, deputising on a couple of occasions there late in the piece so that Adam could attend to family commitments and also have a night off due to work in the real world. And a big thanks to Nick Fodiatis and everyone else that's joined us throughout the commentary box throughout the course of the season, and all the drivers that have given up their time for post-race shows as well. Have I missed anyone, Adam?
I think you got it.
All right, that'll be a first. Let's have a look at what's coming your way on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, because as far as Monday night's concerned, we're done for Term 1 of 2023, but there's still plenty coming your way. Tuesday night, the Up-and-Comers Grand Finale from the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit in Victoria. 3 by 30-minute races there, and 3 different cars for the night as well. So a real challenge on the hands of the GSRC Up-and-Comers tomorrow night. That'll test their skill like never before. 7:25 Australian Eastern Standard Time, and 3 30-minute races coming your way.
And just quickly before we move on, it's going to be a hectic battle between Greg Patch and Pete Matson.
Jesus! And Brendan Van Ritten is lurking there in the shadows if anyone trips up along the way.
There's 180 points on the line tomorrow night, so there's a lot of guys still in play.
All the way back to Sean Rees. They're all still in play. Extraordinary stuff. That's fantastic. That's well worth the price of admission tomorrow night. I'm actually catching up with a friend at McDonald's, so but I'll be watching the replay. I can guarantee you that. That's going to be fantastic. So that's 7:25, 3 30-minute races to look forward to. The boys will steer you through that one, Australian Eastern Standard Time. Wednesday night, an all-Aussie doubleheader. For One Make Wednesday, the Toyota 86 Series wraps up at Oran Park in Narellan in Western Sydney. And that'll be southwestern Sydney, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, 2 sprint races there. Followed immediately by the super sprint format, the 3-race grand finale from Phillip Island for the Blackout Electrical Solutions GSRC Porsche Cup. 9:15 Australian Eastern Standard Time. That 3-race format worked a treat last time we did it in the Porsches. Looking forward to seeing it in action again. That one is broadcast. This one is not, and it's a bloody shame it's not, because we're off to Oran Park for 5 races on the program. Formula V's grand finale from 7:45 and the TCR Challenge from 9 o'clock. So obviously broadcast, we're alerting you for the sake of tuning in, but for the sake of our members that are part of the club in the iRacing network and servers, that's for their benefit. Thursday night, 7:45 and 9 o'clock for Formula V and TCR. There will be a few crossing over and doing both. Looking forward to that. And Friday night, the grand finale for, if you don't mind, the Wings and Slicks, the Dallara Formula 3s, also from Phillip Island. So Phillip Island's all of a sudden become the new Bathurst, hasn't it? Grand final week. Jesus, look at that. 2 sprint races there, and 8:45 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Mountain Men continues, of course, with the Toyota 86s for 32 laps. That'll be the longest Toyota 86 race around Mount Panorama River. It's 200 kilometres, 32 laps, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, Saturday night, Easter Saturday. Part of a very big long weekend where Bathurst is the focus as far as Australian motorsport is concerned. More on that in just a moment. The new season of the GSRC 2023 B, Season 13. Well, it'll be lucky for somebody. And Term 2 of the year gets underway Monday, April 17. So looking forward to that immensely. And once the calendar is released and once times for broadcasts are all confirmed, we'll let you know via socials as well. So tune in Monday, April 17 for the start of the new season. We'll be here ready and raring, firing on all cylinders to go. GSRCmerch.myshopify.com. Get your hands on some great GSRC merchandise before it's too late, before it's all sold out, because that helps keep the club, above the water. So that's very nice to see. GSRCmerch.myshopify.com. And then the next round of the GSRC GT3 Endurance Championship, we have to wait a while, 4 weeks in fact, 27 days time. Sunday, the 30th of April, 6 hours of the Red Bull Ring. That will be well worth the price of admission. Round 3 of the championship, midway point of the season. Sunday, the 30th of April for 6 hours. Not sure what's going on there. There probably will be a broadcast in there at some point, and looking forward to it immensely. So, that's just about it. We are done. And thanks to everyone that's passed on some nice comments with regards to the broadcast and everyone associated with it tonight. We greatly appreciate that. If you're heading west to the Blue Mountains this weekend, look forward to seeing you at Mount Panorama for the High-Tech Oils Bathurst 6-hour weekend. The Circuit XL Bathurst Challenge is on the support card. So is the APRA New South Wales Pulsar Series. So is GT4. So is, of course, GT3. GT Challenge Australia. So lots to look forward to there. And there'll be a couple of Australian production cars featuring in that GT4 field as well, because there's a new partnership there between GT4 and the Australian production cars this season that's getting its first maiden debut voyage at Mount Panorama this weekend on the support bill. So there'll be a few production cars that haven't got the budget to commit to the 6-hour, having a run in the sprint races for GT4 and the APC. So looking forward to that and more this weekend. I will have some special coverage across the Sierra Australia socials and also West Bremer Radio. More on that over on my personal socials after I get home in the next couple of days. Really looking forward to getting to Bathurst. Whatever you're doing across the course of the Easter long weekend, do it safely, travel well, drive smartly on the roads, and make sure it's a safe and happy time of the year with family and loved ones and friends and whatever the case may be. However you're spending it, we hope you enjoy it. That's the main part, or the main reason of the message there. Or meaning, I should say. On behalf of Adam Lavis and the entire GSRC broadcast commentary and production team here, we hope you've enjoyed Monday Night Motorsport throughout the course of the opening term of the school season of 2023. Season 12 is done. Matty Dench has title number 5 in GT3, title number 1 in GT4. He cements his status as the king of the club. There's no doubt about that. There's no disputing his status as a legend of this caper in the GSRC ranks. We hope you've enjoyed it. We look forward to your company again Monday, April 17, when we begin another 10-week campaign and do it all again. In the meantime, on behalf of Adam Lavis, Nick Fodiatis and the entire crew, I'm Zach Caven bidding you a very good evening, a very happy Easter, and we look forward to your company in a fortnight's time. Until then, bye for now.